I
Yeah,
promise.
because she didn't tell you
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. As a
We had that other white lady yesterday, and you asked her if it was worth losing her life for, and she said, absolutely, yes, I would do it for the people. This is what we call a white savior complex.
Right, but guess what happened? Well, how was she towards the end of the conversation?
I don't know. I
Very.
left because I was emotional.
Listen, I'm just going to say one thing because the Buffalo Bills are about to play and whoop some ass. Remember, it's them against us. We need to come together as a nation. Like, we need to stop dividing and conquer. And that's it. Love you. Bye.
I
Peace,
think
love,
she's a.
happiness.
I think she's just a fucking idiot for doing what she did, and you know what the fuck the outcome is gonna be when you fuck with these idiots. And unfortunately, there's one person dead, and that's the
But I will
shitty part about it.
say, they didn't have that authority to to tell her to get out of her vehicle. Like they really didn't. But at the end of the day, she should have complied. She should have gotten out. She was a U.S. citizen. All he could do is detain her. It would have been on the actual officers of the city to make that decision and authority if they're going to arrest her or not. Like all she had to do was get out of the car and comply, but she didn't. Like I would never step up for, and I'm all for what they're doing, like protesting against it, sure, but like don't use your vehicle to step in front of the federal agent that is armed, and they have right now the White House standing behind them, so that's giving them the authority.
So,
And the more we
what's your
fight
opinion?
like
Was
this,
this so? Actually, was this justified or not?
I don't think it was justified. No,
Okay, Rudy.
he didn't have to use that force.
Okay.
They were both wrong. However, I think even if it was like a regular officer, it probably would have gone down the same way, just only because I've seen it happen like that. Um, I don't know. Some people have used their power.
Ziggy, look at the Aaron Spencer case, and then let me know if you can justify Schmurder or not. Sorry. Yeah. So your thing is you're kind of like yes and no, kind of where I stand with it.
Yeah, and I also feel the more we fight like that, I mean, violence really doesn't get you anywhere. Use your voice as loud as you can, but don't step in front of people with weapons that can unalive you. And I feel like the more we fight like that, the more the Trump administration is gonna push and do things like, oh, JD Vance, like how he said, you guys have the authority to go to door. That's really a thing. Like they really have that authority. And I feel like the more we fight against it, the more they're gonna do things like that.
Okay. Well, listen,
Steph, have you
guys.
seen?
We have three. Sorry, Abe, you're next, buddy. We have 400 people in here. If y'all haven't sent your daily heart me, it's just 1 penny. If y'all can send that, I appreciate it. If you could tap the screen, let's get the likes up. 400 people with 4,000 likes. That is like way under budget right now. We can't even buy band-aids at that price. So please get to 20,000 likes at least by 110. And I appreciate you guys. Sorry, Ayub. Go ahead and Kalak, you're next. Sully, I haven't forgotten about you. Y'all in the panel, you guys will get your turn also. But go ahead, Ayub. Sometimes Ashley changes her voice to a man, so you guys just bear with me. Go ahead.
Shut up.
Oh, I was just gonna say. So I've been a citizen for over 30 years, and I never. My passport was expired maybe for the last 12 years, right? I just didn't go out of the country or whatever, so I didn't need it. Or maybe like 7 years. But after all this stuff started happening, I renewed my passport and I got one of those small passports too that I can keep in my wallet. And now I carry that shit with me everywhere. But can I ask, is there anybody else that even thought about doing that? That's not, you know, I don't think African Americans like black people would have to worry about that, but I'm sure Latinos or Indians or any kind of different complexion that's not white or black would probably had these thoughts as well.
I keep me and my son's birth certificate in my glove box, which is crazy, but like we go through checkpoints often and like very often, and it just depends on which agent you get. But yeah, I keep them in the glove box for us.
Yo, just be careful, man. I did that and I freaking lost mine, and it was hell to get it back, man.
I've got copies before because they were lost during my childhood, so it's been easy
Oh, true.
for
That's good.
me.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah,
Healing, how are you? Welcome.
everybody in the comments is saying they carry their passports, which is crazy. So
Healing, do you know you're up here? Healing, you're. All right, I'm gonna drop you. Hey, stick around, man. You're good for this convert. You're good for business here. Sully's mom, how you doing?
I am doing.
I knew you came back because I kind of cut it short yesterday. So go ahead. The floor is yours.
You're good. No, I'm doing fine. I don't agree with the shooting at all. I don't think she was doing anything totally wrong. Yes, she was in a situation to block, but cars could go behind her and cars could go in front of her, and she was waving them. Just the I know I'm not going to call them officers; they're agents. Um, Going up to her car alone would have been intimidating enough, and and using the language that they were using, I would have been smiling too, because men trying to intimidate women absolutely sucks. I mean, women have lived with it all their life. I've seen an awful lot. I'm 70 and it's just I'm not going to deal with it. I've seen too many videos out here where people are just asking ICE in parking lots, what they're doing, and they're asking them, haven't you learned anything in the last 2 days? And what's the reasoning for that except to
Right, I
be
seen that video. Someone shared that video to me. Yeah, exactly. And then that woman gets the phone ripped out of her hand, right?
that's one of them, yes.
Yeah, that's disgusting, man.
sorry, Chef. Do you want?
There's no reason for it. I think it was Ashley that said, or was it somebody else? Anyway, somebody just said something about mostly being brown people, and it's true, but they're not. They're supposed to be going after quote unquote criminals, but they're rounding up everybody that's brown, and I don't agree with that. Um, that's not what we're made up of. I've just spent a little while. I'm second generation born America. My grandparents came over through Ellis Island in 1907. Were Germans from Russia. So technically Russian citizenship, but German heritage. But back then,
I
they
love
went
me a good Russian-born lady.
it's the reason they left are they escaped. Basically,
Really.
my great grandparents escaped, and with good reason. Um, when they got here, and they were just farmers. That they farmed, but back then they did not have to get passports or visas or anything to be here. It was just to be here. I don't think my great grandfather got citizenship until maybe the late 30s. I'm sorry, what?
Hello, Gal. Do you know you're up here?
Oh, Kalak, I'm sorry, babe.
Rug. Lily. Rug.
Lauren,
Lauren, you know you're up here.
get that dog in control, will you?
And anyway, I don't agree with what's going on. I don't.
Chef, do you wanna let up some people that do think the officer was in the right?
You do whatever you want, bro. Like, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Talk your talk, man.
Okay, because there's a lot of people in the comments that I see that are in the that think that she was in the wrong because she's obstructing an officer. So feel free to come up, guys, if you wanna. If you wanna, I would love to hear your point of view. As long as you can stay respectful and we can have a respectful conversation, we would love to hear it.
Okay, so I'm one of those people.
Well,
Okay.
hold on, because I got skipped crime. I want to say both of them were fucking wrong. This lady and the ICE agent were wrong. The issue here is what comes after. And the thing is, with going door to door and get like announcing that these people have immunity, like the issue is we're divided by half our country wants to give up the pew pews so that pew pew violence goes down, and the other half doesn't want to let go of them. So if anybody budges on 2A at all, this door to door shit is going to be really bad. This is a reason why people hid in attics back in the day during World War II, period. But also, this woman, kind of antagonizing and irritating the situation, that's not what we need people protesting and voices to do. So I think it's just both sides. But I think on the side of the ICE agent and how bad the government's backing him, we're in a really muddy water for our constitution to start getting violated even more than it already has.
Very well said, Kalak. Very well said. I appreciate that. Crime Watcher, go ahead.
Okay, so my problem is this. The wife already came out and spoke, already said, it's my fault. I made her do it. They were not going there for a peaceful protest. I'm here in Florida. I run protests. I know what a peaceful protest is. That is not a peaceful protest.
If you have a family member that is, illegal or whatever, do you love them less? Are you gonna, you know, it's just weird. So if someone's gonna come and take that family member, and I want you to think about a family member, not just a stranger, like how are you gonna react to that? I'm sure it's not gonna be.
Or a friend.
Actually, I've had 2 out of my protest group that were fatally injured.
Wow.
Was it right? No, absolutely. There's just no reason, unless, like, if someone was coming through my front door, I'm gonna defend.
Is there a reason? Wait, hold on. Is there a reason why your car is deemed an addition to your home and that's why you can keep a firearm in it? So if somebody was coming through your front door, wouldn't that be essentially the same threat as somebody coming through your car door if we're talking on a legality stance?
Yes, your car is your personal property, but not against law enforcement. If the
Enforcement agents that don't have jurisdiction over you.
Let me tell you something. My house has been swatted from people over TikTok.
Are you
And when
sure
they
it's
came
not the
through
red
my
hat?
door, they identified who they were, and no, I did not do anything.
It's part of a protest.
Can I add to Ashley's comment?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
For sure.
Okay, so yeah, they were both in the wrong. I agree with Ashley, but also the immunity. This is why we need to come together, because giving immunity to them and they're on their ego trips and on their highs, it's going to be really bad. And I think we all need to come together to fix that, because giving immunity to people that become pissed off really easily, or anyone with a gun,
Pew pew. Yeah.
this is going to keep happening.
Before
Say pew pew. Hold
Yeah,
on,
pew
hold
pew.
on, hold
Sorry,
on.
pew
Guys,
pew.
we have to say like
Oh.
pew pew on a live rug. We have to stay within TOS.
Sorry, I didn't know that.
Before I hop down, I also just want to point one thing. Either way, it's tragic. Should he have immunity? No. Should he pay some kind of consequence? Absolutely. Okay? She paid the ultimate consequence for going there and antagonizing a situation. I heard another one other thing. After her wife got on there and said that she made her do it, and that they went there to cause ruckus. Has anybody looked into this girl's background? Like, she lost her kids for burning them?
You guys, time out. And I said this yesterday respectfully, and I'm going to say it again today. I don't care about her background. Because respectfully, was she out on a being a criminal, a dangerous person? Was she out on being a murderer? No. So it doesn't matter because guess what? The law enforcement agent didn't know her background either.
So,
Right, I was gonna say, it
so
doesn't
you're going to defend somebody that has child abuse charges that burned her children.
No. What you're
We
not
should
understanding,
murder
ma'am.
everybody that's bad background. Like,
What you're
no,
not
that doesn't.
understanding, though, ma'am. What you're not understanding, though, is the ICE agent did not know that. So just like he unalived a so-called criminal, what if it was a pastor? Or you know what I'm trying to say? I'm just giving an example. So the fact that I'm passionate, I'm not trying to yell at you. This is how I speak.
I understand.
I'm saying I respectfully, her past should have nothing to do with this.
And they do not have jurisdiction over U.S. citizens. They do not they don't have any legal status over us.
My thing is, I'm not saying that whether her past is good or bad or indifferent, I don't see how anybody can defend somebody that is out there causing such
But you're
a
missing the point,
ruckus.
ma'am. You're missing the point. You're missing the point.
Yeah.
May I jump in? Because I understand what both of you are saying.
Sure, go ahead.
So you're saying, Chef.
Yes.
You're saying that since the officer did not know anything about this person, he would not make any actions based off of the person's background.
Yeah.
So that's what you're saying. What crime is saying is, from what I'm understanding, is that why would basically I really don't want to say,
in theory, why would people defend a bad person?
yeah, like basically you're kind of saying it's justified because of the wrongdoings that this person has done. That's correct me if I'm wrong. That's what you're saying here.
Right.
Who, me?
Which, yes.
No, I'm not saying that he's justified. I'm saying that you guys are, from what I've seen, most of everybody on this panel has been defending the woman, but is not saying that.
Ma'am, I'm not defending the woman. I told you right from if you were here for the last 2 days, I've literally
I
said.
haven't been, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Wait,
But
I need a context question. So we can't like grieve a woman that maybe had some charges, which I'm waiting on somebody on our true crime team to let me know if that's even real or if you ate propaganda pops for breakfast. But
Excuse me?
regardless, like the thing is how can you say she's such a bad person? Why are you defending her when like it seems like you may be on the side of somebody that settled in court to SA and is also named in a million pages of a PDF's fucking files. So like you're also defending somebody's administration that it also has crimes against children and crimes against people that he's either settled out for or is alleged to be a part of. So like, what are we doing here? Where's the consistency, or is this just hypocrisy?
Hypocrisy.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's just get back, guys.
No, he's saying he didn't know her past or anything, right?
Who's saying he?
Why are you saying?
I'm saying her. Guys, time out, man. Time out. We're not doing all this. Time out. Because we are in another on another foot. And I'm sorry. Kent Rowe. I wasn't trying to. Was trying to. Cut you off. What I'm trying to say is, her past has nothing to do with this.
Well,
he didn't even know it.
Right. So, but why would you bring it up? That's what I'm trying to say. I'm a little confused.
This is why this is why I'm trying to say the real thing that you're trying to decide here is whether or not people should be punished for their past actions. That's what y'all are trying to argue here.
Yeah,
I believe that crime believes that people's past actions, they should be judged for that, and it seems like
you're dead wrong, and I'll tell you why.
Oh my god, guys, time out. I'm the fucking host here. You guys are getting me a little crazy right now. Okay, I'm not an idiot. I know exactly what's going on. It started with Will G. Hold on, I gotta mute you, man. It literally started off with, why are we defending her? Do you know what she did? She bought out a cigarette on her children. Okay, that's disgusting. She deserves to be fucking never let out of whatever the case may be. So now that is a system problem. That is a different situation. My point is that it doesn't matter about that. The current situation, the way that person acted, that officer would have acted that way regardless.
Okay, and I understand that, Chef. When I said that, you cut me off and said it has nothing to do with her past. The point that I'm trying to make, okay? He didn't know her past. Nobody knew her past, but the people that were in her personal life. Correct?
Sure, yeah, correct.
Okay, that doesn't make it. My thing is, if there's so much past profiling, and I can prove it because my family has been through it. Okay?
Ma'am, we're going way off track here. Like I just maybe you just spoke out of frustration.
No, I want to ask a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Would he have been justified if it were like one of the people up here mentioned a PD-30?
See, that's why
It still wouldn't be justified.
That's why I mentioned that's your true argument.
That's
hold
what
on a
I'm
second.
saying. It wouldn't have.
Guys,
You didn't even let me get there.
That's what I'm saying. That's what y'all are trying to. That is what the conflicting argument is about. The conflicting argument is: should people be judged by their past actions because it may hint to their character?
Correct.
That's what
you,
y'all
ma'am,
arguing.
that's you retracting. Let's be honest. That's you retracting your comment. That's you retracting your comment.
Did you not cut me off?
Ma'am, why would you even bring that up? Like, come on now. Why would you brought that up? Listen, it's not my first day at the rodeo, ma'am. You brought that up to say, who gives a fuck? Look what she did to her kids. She deserves to be dead.
That's not what I said.
That's why you brought it up. That is why you brought
I'm not doing
it
this.
up.
I'm not doing this. Now you want to fucking retract. I don't have time for that shit, man.
And we're not even talking about the fact that this ICE agent is
don't take my
clearly
kindness
dealing
for
with
fucking weakness.
PTSD.
Don't take my kindness for weakness, man.
I am seeing that type of argument in written comments that because of what Crime said, that they think that it's justification, and no, it's not. But that's all.
Well, then they should hold their president to the same fucking consistency.
Yes. If you're gonna come at that, you should hold everyone to that.
Listen, at the end of the day, I don't fucking condone anything Charlie Kirk did. I don't fucking like the guy. That's my opinion. But you shouldn't be stomping around celebrating anybody's fucking unaliving like that.
Agree.
That is a father. That is a husband. That is a son. So my thing is that, yeah, he's a fucking idiot of how he spoke and this and that. But I'm saying, no, it's not like
you can't have selective empathy. You cannot have selective empathy, and people are doing that, and you can't look judges. Everybody has a past. You can't be like, she deserved that, he deserved that. No. The point is, you're not supposed to kill somebody. That's the point.
That is the point. But often people try to relate point A with point B, and I'll give you an example. Like the guy that like Luigi, he unalived that CEO. His motive was the CEO's background or what he did was related to the reason why he got unalived, right? But in this case, her background has nothing to do with the reason why she got unalived.
And you know what, bro? Luigi deserves to fry in jail for the rest of his life.
And that's like,
that's not justifiable. Like, no,
I understand. I agree with you, Chef. But there are people out there that will relate those two and find a way in their mind to be like, okay, and you can see it by all the fanboys he has, right? So you can use someone's background to kind of in your head go that way. But what I'm trying to say in this case, it's not related at all. What she did in her past has nothing to do with the reason why she got what she got. And the ICE agent didn't know that. He didn't know that at all. He knew nothing about her background. So for you to go use her background as a reason to be like, well, now it's like they're not even related.
We're all
Unless
seeing the same stuff on social media, guys. Everybody is saying, fucking, oh yeah, F her. Look what I get it. She's a piece of shit for what she did to her kid. But my theory is that what if that was a upset, that if another man or other man or woman woke up upset that morning that didn't do that, the ICE agent would still have had the same fucking outcome. That's the problem.
I want to call out this comment. I really like. I found it interesting. He said she used her POV as a weapon.
I will say though, I do believe that officer, because it was two women and they kind of were getting to him. It did not help the situation, and it's just terrible.
Percent.
It's
Ego.
terrible,
It was ego.
right?
But aren't you trained as a police officer? As a officer of the law to de-escalate? Like,
Not when you have a $50,000 sign-on bonus and not rigorous training because they're
Mm-hmm.
just trying to pump you out
Mm-hmm.
like an express line, like the fucking food.
Mm-hmm.
oh, and I started watching more cable lately, and the commercials are killing me. Like, have you seen the ones where they're showing the people getting like handcuffed off of a train, and they're like, if you're an illegal immigrant, this is your future. Come forward now, or this will be you.
Disgusting.
May
That's
I
crazy.
put my ideas or thoughts in the open real quick
Barney.
about what I think?
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
Oh,
Kendall. My bad. Yeah, go ahead.
all right. So I'm a communication and conflict major, so I try to see both sides of the argument. I can see how I believe that she should have complied with the officer. However, from my bias, I'm going to say that I'm going to hold the officer to a higher degree because of the power they possess. So I'm going to be more critical of his actions. So that's just my bias out of the way. I believe that this was an officer-induced jeopardy. From my perception of the phone video, it seems that he was unaware of and unaffected by his surroundings. And it seems like the moment he became aware of his surroundings, which was the moment he realized that he was about to get hit by the car, he panicked. And it would be understandable because if he had this if he had this other instance where he was hit and he could have had PTSD because of this instance, it would be understandable why he reacted that way. However, I believe that this could have all been avoided if the officer was vigilant throughout the entire interaction. And I believe that disciplinary action should be for the officer, but I don't think not necessarily jail time, but some type of disciplinary action, uh, another a few weeks of training or suspension or termination, something like that.
Also, why did the other officers find it okay for them to just go around her? Why not call it to the state and say, listen, we got this fucking obnoxious lady here blocking. We can still get by and carry out our fucking day, but why don't you guys come and deal with her?
Because a lot of these police forces are not fucking with federal forces.
But it's at this point, it's not. It's an estranged woman blocking the road. Call it in. Go about your business.
Agree.
You see what I'm saying?
I want to
Yeah,
be
because
respectful. Do new people just need to speak up, or do I need to wait to be introduced?
You know what?
I
It
just
is. We are a little bit.
I don't know what happened.
He'll be right back.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, second order. Actually, let's.
Wait, we
Sorry,
still
I
got
got a
Trey.
phone call. Yeah, usually we are really organized. Today we're just kind of going off of off track here. But
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
second, go ahead, sir. The floor is yours.
So I appreciate the guy that spoke before me's attempt to see both sides. I'm trained to do the same thing. I'm an attorney. We're always trained to see the facts, opposite your case. You can't bring a good case if you don't steel man the other side's argument, right? So I really appreciate that perspective. However, I see this as really extremely one-sided. Nobody, you never know. You learn very quickly that you never know how a trial is going to go. And it would be stupid of me to say I know he's going to be convicted. Um, but there's going to be a homicide prosecution here at the state level. It might take some time. I mean, even when the FBI isn't actively working against you, it takes time to bring a good case. We might well not see it for several more weeks, maybe even months. Um, but it is far too clear. State law, homicide, very likely second degree, intentional murder, schmurder. Sorry. Um, and so the state's going to bring a case. One thing that I hear a lot of people spending time arguing over the use of unaliving force, trying to use TikTok friendly language. Um, the thing to understand about that is that that's a moot point here. Um, we don't even reach the Graham v. Connor reasonable proportional use of force analysis because that requires there to have been a lawful order or a lawful stop. The technical term is lawful seizure to speak of. Um, we're not even going to reach that here because there was none of that. Um, the way that this is going to end up proceeding is Minnesota is going to treat this just like any other homicide, right? As an unlawful stop and command, meaning she had no duty to comply with those commands. She, of course, did not. And then ICE cannot bootstrap that unlawful encounter into a lawful performance of duties predicate to even get to that use of force analysis. Um, so he has absolutely nothing to defend himself other than a potential immunity argument, which I think is shaky at best. Um, and then the only other assertion he can make is a state law self defense claim, and he's going to make an ordinary self defense claim outside of any framework of his duties as a law enforcement officer, and the case is going to proceed on that basis, right? Which is he is look, never say never, but goddamn, damn us all to hell if he succeeds on that.
Can I ask
So
a question?
sure,
Can they, like, since they said, Van said about the immunity, can they do that?
do what?
Like,
Assert
just be like, they're
immunity?
all immune. Yeah, they're all have immunity. Whatever,
No.
whatever they want to do, they all have immunity.
No, Vance is wrong. Vance is wrong about that. It's possible they're going to make the immunity argument. Um, it's not off the table, but what it requires from the key case on this is Neagle, and we're looking basically at supremacy clause immunity. It's a two-part test. It requires authorized federal duty, right? An act that the agent was authorized to do by the law of the United States, and then necessary and proper execution. I think he fails both prongs, and any serious person can see that. And this is key. A jury isn't going to decide this question, right? This is going to be settled by a serious person. This is going to be settled by a judge. There is no like, oh, maybe if we get one juror to think that this was a federal duty. No, this is supremacy clause immunity. This is going to go before a federal judge on a petition for removal, and I don't see how he gets immunity to apply to him here.
Can I
Again,
make a good
it's
point of someone's? I
yeah. Go ahead. Sorry,
someone in the comments said that, let's say they do get in prison, right? I'm sure he could get pardoned,
not of a state charge.
not as state charge. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
president cannot pardon. That goes back to it's something called the doctrine of separate sovereigns, right? The federal government and the state government are considered to be separate sovereigns, right? So the president has no control over or ability to pardon a person if they're convicted in a state court.
Can we clarify one thing? Well, two things, maybe three.
Sure. Are you
ICE,
talking to me?
no. Well, maybe sort of. Or maybe you can. ICE peoples are the low in the totem pole when it comes to their only enforcement is with immigration. They can't
Yeah.
pull traffic stops and stuff like that.
I think, yeah, can I respond to that? I think the thrust of what you're saying, if I understand it, is correct. I guess I wouldn't necessarily say they're low on the totem pole. They're low on the totem pole when it comes to federal law enforcement. Um, they're extremely subject matter limited in a way that other agents, even within their own department at DHS, aren't, right? If this had been an HSI agent with a totally different statutory authority, they have extremely broad statutory authority. We might be having a different conversation. I'm not going to go into the whole analysis. I still don't think it would have been justified. But your point is well made. Yes, ICE's authority is among the. I can't really think of a more subject matter limited grant of
Well,
authority to
second,
federal agents.
something I can say since the beginning of this is we have to be dealing with heightened jurisdiction being handed down because there's a thing. We have customs and we have border patrol. Customs is more like POEs, airports, things of a nature. Border patrol is for quote unquote just the border. But now we're seeing border patrol agents. So if you don't know the difference, blue and green, customs is blue, border patrol is green. Now we have border patrol agents essentially being deployed into these cities that are not touching a border. So it's my speculation that heightened jurisdiction or heightened orders or heightened clearance has been handed down because it would just be quote unquote close, almost impossible for BP to carry out this operation without being handed further jurisdiction.
Okay, can I respond to that?
Sure.
These are sorry, I don't know what happened there. These grants of authority are statutory, right? So the executive branch cannot expand them, right? Like what you just described is something that cannot happen, right? They wouldn't be able to expand the authority of ICE or Border Patrol or anything like that. What you're referring to, I want to get at the underlying piece of what you're referring to is um, they're deploying border patrol in cities that are not 100 miles from the border. And a couple,
Right.
a couple, a couple things about that. One, there are active lawsuits in every state where they're doing that because it is without justification illegal, right? It is illegal, and this is something we're actively fighting over. It shouldn't shock anybody in here that the Trump administration is doing something they explicitly can't do
Right.
under statutory authority. That's for one. Number two, what the Trump administration is trying to say, and in limited circumstances, they might actually be correct in very limited circumstances. One of the things Border Patrol is allowed to do is when it's not within 100 miles of the border, they are able to aid ICE investigations. Now, in historically, what that has meant is that they've been in informational aid and not ground support, right?
Right.
They will send Border Patrol agents who have the relevant information, who have been doing the investigating, to field offices. They might bring a tactical team with them, but typically they are on site to inform the process. They are not the ones doing the enforcing. So I think there's some extent to which there's a smoke screen here. I actually happen to think that in most cities, Border Patrol, from what I've seen, is staying within their powers. I haven't seen Border Patrol specific. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I don't.
You are, yeah. They're
But
definitely like if we look at California, not Southern, even just anywhere in California, or even if we look into like, I would say Colorado is a big one. And then we have, I want to say Chicago, but that's considered kind of a border because of all the water.
sure.
But so
But
I'm
but
ex
my point, if I could
medic
just
for them. So like the thing is, the reason why I asked this is because I wanted you to explain the way I asked the question was for you to explain exactly that is that these people are going onto foot in an illegal manner. Like that's all I was trying to get to. I
right.
did work for them during the Biden administration. I was a humanitarian aid. I was down there as an EMT, worked with them for 3.5 years. So, like, I just wanted it to be explained legally where this is just not okay. It's not legal.
Right. Yes. No, it's not. Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys. So I wanted to give a chance to some people that have been up here that haven't spoke yet. Sorry for the wait, guys. Barney and Will G. Let's go with Will G first.
Yes, my name is Will G. I'm from California. I'm in Los Angeles now. I was a public service officer with the San Bernardino Sheriff's Office for a number of years, and I was injured, and I don't work for them anymore. But I will let you know that I think it's a tragedy that happened to this citizen. Um, I I don't believe he was justified in what he did. I do believe, under the court of law, that he will be innocent until proven guilty in the court of law. We all have due process. Unfortunately, she didn't have due process. She was unalived, and it was unnecessary, and it's a tragedy. I don't believe he should be in any law enforcement position at all, but he wasn't going through the proper procedures. He wasn't being investigated. FBI is now investigating this situation. I'm only in the state of California, but if that happened in my state, there would be multi-jurisdictional investigations on this person. And there wouldn't be this messy situation where one agency is not allowing the other agency to investigate, since it did happen in their state. And the district attorney that mentioned this is correct. And here in California, he would not be the only one that gives pardons in California would be the governor of California, and that would be very hard to do with that situation. So I don't know if they're post certified. Can someone tell me if this agency is post certified? Because we went through the academy and we had to get post certification.
They are not post certified.
Okay, so that's the number one problem. They should have had no business.
And Minnesota, I'll just add to that real quick. Minnesota, in Minnesota specifically, the statute also only it only defines peace officers as post certified.
Yes.
Sorry, it only defines peace officers as both post certified and employed by the state of Minnesota. So even if they were post certified, where you're going, it wouldn't work for them.
Another question is I believe if this situation were to arise, we would get a call from the agency to respond to that location and handle the situation with this person, whether it be a violent situation or not. It is our job within the state of California to take care of this situation. Since I would be in the county of San Bernardino, they were to call us so that we can respond to the situation, so that they can do their own whatever they were doing operation wise. That would be our protocol for the state of California. Instead of
I
this
am
strategy.
I am bullheaded enough that if I had been in that location, even okay, I'm with the mindset that I would have been protesting, which what they are doing is honking horns and blowing whistles to let others know that icicles are in the area. Anyway, I probably would have gone up to her van and asked her to move, say that this isn't worth it. Probably would have been my thing. Maybe I probably would have been shot, but I would have asked her just to be safe and move.
Okay,
Yeah.
the request is fine, but as a law enforcement officer, that wouldn't be my job to unalive a person for protesting. It is her First Amendment right. She is allowed to protest. peacefully.
That's when we're talking about a police officer like you. That's more of like a department. The disconnect here is that these federal agents had zero jurisdiction to make a traffic stop on this woman regardless. Like Chef mentioned, maybe call it into the local PD and be like, hey, we have somebody obstructing the roadway, and fucking keep it pushing. The issue here is these agents did not have jurisdiction to stop her or ask her to get out of her car or fucking anything.
Yeah,
and
guys,
reach
but
inside her
they're literally
vehicle.
not. They're literally not. They're not police officers. They're literally putting out. They're putting out money for you to join them. They're saying if you join, we'll give you this much money. Like, I
Got
don't
it.
know.
think I'm
Maybe.
the only op here.
Go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
sir.
Go ahead.
Okay, so you guys are misunderstanding. If you look up 18 USC 111, that authorizes federal officers that aren't regular peace officers to do just this when they are impeding traffic per Minnesota Penal Code 16915, which they were doing, impeding traffic. She was ordered out of the vehicle. She refused to get out of the vehicle. And the wife did yell, "Drive, baby, drive." Pennsylvania v. Mims says you get out of the vehicle when you're ordered by anyone, to include ICE. And he was pushed back. You could see his legs sliding. If you look at the view, that is the top right corner photo, his leg slides. The only way it slides back, because he's not Michael Jackson moonwalking, is if he was struck. And if you look at their
So, Hoff,
policies,
can you tell me what willful jeopardy is in
Yeah.
reference to a cop in
Wait,
self-defense?
I got to
yeah,
respond to that.
their
I got to
One
respond
policy
to
second
that.
though,
states
time
if
out.
you
Before we all
feel
jump the gun, guys, 1 second. Let him finish. Let him finish.
our policy says that the unalively force can be used if you feel that you are going to be unalived or serious bodily harm. And if you look at Graham v. Connor, you have to take it from the officer's perspective as a reasonable officer, not a bench quarterback that is looking at it after the fact.
So, if we look at Tennessee versus Garner, where it says they're not allowed to use unaliving force when somebody's evading, then we would also go for that. And then, secondly, we can go for the fact that um, self-defense is null and void with willful jeopardy. Law enforcement and federal agents are told not to go in front of a vehicle, period. So with willful jeopardy attached to that, it completely strikes that down because it's no longer self-defense because he placed himself there without using discernment that he might unalive. So let's look up Tennessee versus Garner, where police officers aren't even allowed to pew pew an evading vehicle. They have to let it
Um,
go, essentially. Same with federal.
He
hold on.
didn't hit the vehicle, but their policy authorizes this. And you would have a better argument with the case that came out this year of Barnes v. Felix. But in that case, the officer jumped on the vehicle. In this case, she backed up. And then as she is going forward from her backing up, the officer is now in her line of sight. She backed up to put him there, not himself. But there's no policy that says he cannot be walking in front of the vehicle. Training says it's not recommended.
Okay, okay.
Can
Willful
I
jeopardy is definitely a thing.
please
In this case,
explain?
there's
Can I
multiple cases that already went over this.
if we even want to have a conversation, it's got to be grounded in what the law is and says. I got to correct something here. This 18 USC 11 was framed as something that gives ICE the ability to clear traffic. I just want to be clear about what this is. 18 USC section 111 does not say anything about what ICE's official duties are or any federal agent's official duties are. It is a criminal statute that tells you what happens to you if you impede an officer in the performance of their official duties. And key to this situation, and I can explain why there were no official duties here, is that there have to be official duties for this to even become relevant. 18 USC 111 says nothing about an ICE officer being able to stop a vehicle, being able to do this. It is only a criminal statute, but there has to be an underlying related to the performance of of official duties. So this says absolutely nothing about like generic authority to enforce Minnesota traffic laws or control ordinary city traffic. And we know, again, we know from very clear Supreme Court precedent, federal agents are not allowed to just say, I'm conducting my official duties because I'm out in public and I have my uniform on and I'm armed, right? That doesn't mean they're on duty and conducting official duties. It's a different thing entirely. So I just wanted to clear that up. That doesn't say what it was asserted that it says.
And lawyers on your side of the aisle aren't even arguing that's not a thing. They're giving that as the thing that gives them the authority.
Point me to one. I'd like to
The
see that
ones on
argument.
CNN that they brought in
Yeah, could you give
that
me
were
one?
talking about this. Midas Touch brought some talking about this. They're talking over the legality if it was reasonable force. Yeah, I don't go for
Hey,
confirmation bias on my side of
guy,
the aisle. There's foot sliding back until today
I'm
because I
actually
don't
Okay,
trying to
watch that
Beth.
take you.
stuff.
I'm actually trying to take you seriously here. I'm trying to find the source of the argument so I can see it and critique it.
Fair. The thing is a lot of these people will pull up some titles, they'll pull up some laws that they think can be anecdotal for their debate on TikTok to get a little gift, and then they are proven wrong. But it's just baseless and unfoundational. He has no concrete to stand on because this dude did not have jurisdiction over this American period.
I've already given you the code, which not even others
Code
refuted.
just got
That
debunked, babe.
it's not. You can't just say I
God.
debunked your code because
Maybe
he was
CNN
on
will do
duty.
it.
They
Maybe
were
CNN will do it.
walking and doing their delegated duty.
So should sir, so the
Again,
ones that so should the officers that were safely going around her, should they lose their job because they did not enforce anything?
okay, hold on. 18 USC Section 111 is not what grants any federal law enforcement officer any powers. ICE's authority is under 8 USC Section 1357. The fact that we're talking about two different titles, 18 and 8, should clue you into the fact that there's probably very different things among these two things. Right? So if you want to argue
Did you
statutory
read
authority,
it? Because it says other federal officers that aren't like FBI where they do have jurisdiction
what
against
say
the
again?
civilians.
What we're talking about two different things. Which one are you talking about now?
At 18 USC 111, did you even read it?
I did read it. What are you asserting that it says?
That it grants them because they're the other officers. It's allowing them that if someone is doing something at them towards them, that they could take care of the situation temporarily and then hand over the person
Is
to local
unaliving
law enforcement.
temporary? I'm sorry. Is unaliving
That
temporary?
and that's the thing. Once you
The,
guys get out of this part of the subject and actually get into the manner of was the actual like firing part the justification or not, then we can get into the real
again,
meat of the
for
conversation.
for the
But if you
second
can't even
time,
get over the fact that they have jurisdiction, then you can't even debate it because you're not understanding they have
for the
jurisdiction.
second time, what you're not understanding is that you keep referring me to a criminal statute that punishes people for impeding federal officers within the performance of duties that they already have. Okay? We have to, that only is significant for us to discuss the question of whether or not there was a lawful order given or official duties, which the answer is no, and I'm happy to explain why. This statute quite literally says absolutely nothing about the authority of federal agents to do anything. Their
What again? What
authorizations
weren't
are
they
in
doing?
different stat
Were they
their
clocked in?
authorizations
Were
are
they in
under
uniform?
different statutory authority.
Were they clocked in? Were they in uniform? And were they conducting operations?
You clearly don't listen to anything I say because I just explained that official duties, law enforcement is not allowed to assert that they are quote unquote on official duties just because they are armed in public and have a uniform on. That's not how
I
this
asked you,
works.
were they not on patrol in their duty?
Well, Christy Nome said they were headed back to Christy Nome said they were headed back to headquarters. So
Which
I'm
is an
taking.
official duty.
Listen to your mama.
To stop them from going back to headquarters is part of official duties, is it not?
Was she stopping them? Was there room to go around?
Eh, The penal code of 16915 is very clear. Slow moving vehicles that are not moving with the flow of traffic is impeding.
You just cited. Did you just cite state law?
I did. And they
Yeah.
have the authority when they're breaking a state law or federal law to temporary detain and then
Here
call
we go.
in
Here we
the
go. Here we go. Hey,
PD.
hey, hey. Who? I want you to find me exactly in that statute you just read. Who has the authority to enforce what you just read? Does it happen to be peace officers? Is that the definition?
Yes, that's why the peace officer
Okay.
would be called
So
with the
ICE
detainment.
aren't
wait, wait,
peace
wait.
You
officers.
Let's go.
realize
No, no, no,
in
no. I got to
California,
walk him through
to
the.
make
No,
sure that
I'm
this
going to
didn't
walk him through
happen,
this. I'm going to walk him through
California
this.
had officers of the local PD with some ICE officers in
I'm going
some
to
of the
walk him.
cities,
I'll walk you
but
through this then.
Minneapolis does not. They don't
Okay.
support ICE, or else
So
this would have not been an
let's go
issue.
now. Let's go now. Whether you're using Google, whatever you're using, let's find the definition of peace officer under Minnesota statutory authority, and please read it out loud for all of us.
Here, please. We don't
It,
watch CNN. We
I
need it
already
from
told
you.
you the title code that gives them the authority. Again, if you're
I'd
not
like you
willing
to
to
read
accept it, we
the
can't, because
definition
you're out of
of
your
peace officer.
you're getting into your political feelings. You have to get out of there and accept they have jurisdiction
If you give me a reason for that, I'll consider it. But you
because they're
just
in the
asserting
line of
it.
their duties. You literally just said they were heading back and that she was there as they were told to
Uh,
be heading back to their
Okay,
headquarters.
you're not listening
uh,
to a
And
single
uh,
thing that
she
I've
was
said.
impeding traffic.
All right.
Hoff, I think you're misunderstanding. So the thing that you just read out pertains to peace officers. Um, ICE isn't aren't peace officers, so that set of rules would not pertain to them. However,
Irrelevant.
I will say that there is probably what you read out. It does like if you look it up, because most of the rules are pretty much the same, but you have to find the exact rules that pertain to ICE to make your claim justified or make your evidence valid.
You realize there's many laws that are only at the state level that still apply regardless because we don't have a crap ton of federal laws when it comes to stuff like this. Like, how many federal laws do you have that would say that it is covered for every little thing against an officer?
What that sentence was genuinely meaningless. What did
No,
that
it's
even mean?
Hoff,
not
you're
because you're
stupid,
trying to
bro.
argue that because it's a state statute, it doesn't matter. So if there's no federal crime
No,
that
I'm
says they
not. Oh
cannot
my
assault an
God.
officer,
I'm
Hey
then
not
guys, you
therefore
guys are
it's
doing
saying.
great, by the
allowed to
way. Just let's
happen.
keep it respectful. That's all.
I'm
Come
not
on.
saying. I'm not saying. I am not saying it doesn't matter because it's a state statute. I'm
You
saying it does.
are.
No, I'm not, and I'm going to fucking tell you why.
Hey, second, come on now. You've been good up until now. Let's not get
Okay.
cussy.
It doesn't matter because it doesn't not matter because it's a state statute. It doesn't matter because as you told me, it applies only to peace officers and you're afraid to
No, it
read the
doesn't.
definition because you would find out that peace officer means an employee of a political subdivision or law enforcement agency who is licensed by the Minnesota State Post Board and employed by the state of Minnesota.
Again,
That's what you would find out if you read it. And so that's why it
I've already
doesn't
told
matter,
you.
not because it's state law.
I've already told you it doesn't apply to peace officers in that manner. ICE has the jurisdiction with
Hold on,
that
guys.
18 USC
Second. The
111.
only way he's going to understand this is if you write it into CNN and have somebody say it on there, or else this is just going to be a
Get
terrible
no.
debate.
See, again, you're back in your feelings. Stop.
I mean,
No.
generally
It
speaking, when I have a
you know,
disagreement with a
look.
pilot on how to safely land the plane, I kind of try to defer to them,
So
right? Or at
understand
least
this.
take what they're
Who
saying
makes the
seriously.
arrest?
Like
Who's
Jesus
making the
Christ,
arrest? Who's making the arrest?
there's no arrest to speak of.
No, see, here's what you're failing to understand. You are correct in the peace officer is the only one that can make the arrest.
I'm
ICE is making
extremely
a
confident I'm not failing to
detention.
understand anything.
ICE is making the detention and handing the person over when they do this to the peace officer, telling them that code, and that peace officer makes the arrest. They have the
Detention
legal
for what?
authority to do this.
Detention
So
for what?
Hoff, do you
Detention
believe?
for
Hold on, time out,
blocking the
guys. So Hoff, do you
roadway.
believe that this? Do you believe because
Which
we're
is a
going
state
into
law
like?
violation to be enforced by
Hold on,
peace
second.
officers. Thank you.
Stop.
Thank
Second.
you.
You're
Thanks for
wrong.
rounding out my argument.
Yo,
You
you
are
guys. I don't want to
wrong.
mute you guys, man. Just listen. I want to ask you. I want to go. I'm going to go around. The room now because we're kind of getting off topic now. Second, I obviously from what you're saying, I believe you do not believe this was justified in any which way. Correct?
No, it's impossible for me to put into words as a person who puts things into words for a living how not justified this was and how clear cut a case this is.
I agree. Thank you. We have a new person up here. Blair, how you doing?
Oh, hey, how are you?
Good. Do you know you're up here?
Can you? Oh, yeah, I do.
All right. Awesome. Yeah, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Oh, well, I want to jump in on the arguments, but I wasn't. Earlier we were talking about the U.S. Code, and then there was some sort of argument. I missed it, but what are we on now?
Yeah, so pretty much, I mean, let's just get back on topic because the thing is, it definitely goes into the politics and all this other stuff. And do you believe that this was justified or unjustified?
Well, that's for a judge or jury. So I'm coming from the perspective that, as a lawyer, so I can't make that determination right now. It's up to video, testimony, witnesses, all the evidence that you would put forth at a trial, if there is one, if there's no immunity. But to clarify some of the laws, there's a few different things going on. There's two separate officers. There's the first incident where, and I don't want to say anything inflammatory because, I don't want to be attacked. I went in alive yesterday and I was attacked. But,
No,
I'll
you won't
say
get
that the
attacked here. I
car
promise
was,
you. You won't get attacked here.
I
I
got
promise.
attacked really bad yesterday,
No, I
bad.
don't allow that
And
stuff.
a bunch
I
of
promise you.
messages call me idiots, MAGA
Yeah.
idiot. And I didn't vote for MAGA or Harris. But anyway, from a legal perspective, I can clarify some things. And then I want to engage in discourse with everyone because everyone's entitled to their perspective. But I'm coming from
I
a
would love to
place
talk to you about
where
this
I
after you
feel
explain.
I'm coming from a place where, to be candid, I did a lot of political stuff. I was heavily involved in the Bernie Sanders election in 2016. I wasn't his lawyer, but I sued on behalf of purge voters in New York State. They were kicked out of their parties, so they couldn't participate in the Democratic election. So, Democrats were put into the Green Party, Independent Party, Republican Party. And I kind of, I'm definitely disillusioned in voting, but I am just really sad that, yesterday I had to go in and say whether I was MAGA or Harris. And, I'm coming from the perspective, I hate the media. I hate TikTok. I hate Instagram. I hate politicians. I think they stoke on both sides. And I think these type of arguments are really, really sad for our country. Now, getting to the law, I think a lot of people are citing the Barnes case. I don't know if I think I might have heard it earlier. So we have Graham and Barnes. Those are the two seminal cases. Those are the only cases that are going to matter in this. Some people will cite some cases and they'll give the facts of a case. But when, I'm looking at a case, I look at the facts and the holdings. Facts all change, right? All of the cases that go up to the Supreme Court, which is the law of the land, have different facts. And I find in some lives, people are coming in and they're giving the facts and they're applying it to the holding, right? So just be aware when you look at cases, just look at the holding. The holding in the Graham case was deadly force only used if reasonable belief of killed or bodily injury. Honestly, I'm looking at this very black and white. That's really what matters in terms of the actions that are going to be taken against the ICE agent. There's 3 actions that could be taken against him. Removal, fired by Department of Homeland Security. Criminal, which then you have to show willfulness intent. That's going to be harder. And then you have civil. Criminal and civil, you have to break immunity. That's a little more difficult to do. I
Blair,
also
could I ask you a
find
question?
arguing, yeah.
What my understanding, why would we even reach the Graham analysis in a state law prosecution?
Oh, okay.
I don't
So this is
I
a
don't even
federal
think
issue. Okay. No, and
I,
a lot of people get tripped up with state and federal laws. So this would have been this was a state issue, right? The alleged violation, or whatever you want to categorize the vehicle in the street, right? The alleged violation would be state law, right? Now, once there's an incident with a federal officer, it becomes a federal issue, right? So those laws govern. So I think people are circulating that Minnesota law. There's 2 Minnesota laws I saw. One
well,
is
wait, hold on. The state
yeah.
law will govern if the state brings an ordinary homicide prosecution, which is what they have eyes on.
So the state the state can charge, but it will ultimately be removed to federal court and prosecuted by the DOJ if that does occur,
No, wait, hold
based on
on.
immunity.
No, wait, hold on. It the DOJ prosecution is a totally separate thing from a state
What I'm trying to
prosecution.
say, removal means, so you can have, this happens to me all the time. I have a state court action, right? And then if there's a separate federal case that overrides my state court action, that case gets removed to federal court. So yes, you're right, they can charge, but in terms of the proceedings going forward, they will be removed to federal court.
How do you think they're going to, do you think they'll be able to defeat immunity?
Oh, see, this is where you start to get into the interesting stuff, which is why I joined the lives. And I also like to hear from like police officers or people like in that field. I heard something today about L positioning, and you're supposed to position yourself in a certain way if there's a vehicle involved, so as to not, so as to protect yourself and the person in the vehicle. So immunity is a hard thing. Despite what JD Vance says, that goes to a federal judge. They determine immunity. Immunity only matters in criminal and civil. That's a really hard one. And that's going to be something that they're going to try, right? Because this is a PR disaster. I also want to come from the perspective of, I think everyone is stoking this, and I am like, this is my biggest issue with this. You have President Trump not sitting here, he's siding with ICE, right? He's not saying, he's not a witness, right? He might have viewed some videos, but he's not, the judge and jury, they're the ones that get the evidence, right? And they have the testimony and they have everything available to make a determination. I think as a president, it's overstepping your bounds to do that. Vice President JD Vance said, immunity, he has immunity. How can you determine that? The federal government, the judges do. Then you have Tim Walz stoking, I'm going to bring in the National Guard. Now, my problem with that, and this is where people get caught up, ICE training needs to change because they're training the old school way of, they were just sent in, deport, crowd control, goodbye. This didn't occur when Obama was deporting and Biden was deporting. We have a lot of protests going on. And they have not reformed their training. If anything, they've reduced the hours.
They've definitely reduced.
Technically, yeah, no, they did. So the police are the ones who are supposed to deal with protesting, right? ICE, think about it rationally. I live in New York City. When there's a protest, who comes? The police, right? They're supposed to protect from injury and control. ICE has a limited training and capacity because their job isn't to protect protesters. Their job is to support and crowd control, right? The protesters, it's the police who are supposed to protect the protesters.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the specific facts of the case, but the issue is if there is, think about it rationally. If you're driving home and someone is perpendicular in the street, I don't know, and I'm not going to go into going around them, whatever, but that's traffic infraction, right? The police, no one called them. I don't know how many people were there. I truly know nothing about like the landscape of the situation. I know there were witnesses, some from the house, but in that situation, the police should come and say, hey, blocking traffic. They're really there to protect the citizens.
Could I address something about
Yeah.
about a legal aspect of this? I think this is something about which you and I agree, but like just something to clarify for the people listening. When Blair says remove to federal court, what she means is that this case can be removed to a federal court to take place in front of a federal judge.
Yeah, they would join.
That doesn't mean, but I want to clarify. That doesn't mean that DOJ will then be prosecuting the case. Minnesota will still be prosecuting the case, and state law will still apply in a federal court. So it doesn't change any of the analysis.
So I'm not going to argue about that because I don't think so. People get in the weeds. I will disagree with you on that, but it's not. That doesn't matter to the situation here. What's
you
going
disagree
to happen?
with that?
Yes.
Could you explain why?
Because we're dealing with a federal. So when you have two, I want to tell you to look up like jurisdictional issues when venue is proper, when you have a federal department that's involved. This would be a federal issue. So only related to the ICE agents, right? The ICE agents are involved, and any prosecution against them is based on the federal law. And people keep bringing up the Minnesota law that applies for
That's
blocking.
wait. That was also an incorrect statement. It's not. It doesn't have to be only based on federal law. They can be prosecuted under state homicide law and have a potential, in
Oh
this
wait, but
case,
now,
very.
okay, but now you're breaking immunity.
Yeah, you're talking to an attorney, mind you.
What I am one as well. We're talking to each other.
Because you're saying, okay, so now you're going into the fact that this is a murder. I'm not going into that.
Can
I'm
Well,
I ask
not
a
that's
talking
question?
about that.
that's kind of
I know,
key to
and
this
I'm telling.
case because it's the only case that's even going to
So let's
potentially
go
be
into the
brought.
Graham
Well,
case.
yeah, you got to
Now
go
the
into
Graham,
Graham and Barnes and
Can I
plead
ask?
exactly, Graham and Barnes,
because
and
Barnes
I
added to
think.
Graham.
Wait, guys. You don't go into Graham and Barnes because Graham and Barnes won't be reached because for it to be reached, there has to be a seizure to speak of, right? There has to be a lawful seizure to speak of. And this very
Okay, so do you
clearly,
understand the
uh,
holding of Graham? Can you just look it up? Just simple Google search. What is the holding of Graham? The holding is the decision of the court. What is the holding of Graham? And read it off to me.
I have
again,
one
I'm
question.
not gonna go. I'm not gonna get into like a quiz session here. My
No, I'm
whole
just saying
arg
because,
Blair,
but that would in
he
order to
doesn't
support your
believe they
argument.
have jurisdiction. That's the problem. He
Well,
doesn't
I don't
believe
know.
they
I'm an
had the
attorney and I
authority.
understand jurisdiction very well.
wait.
So,
Who are you saying I don't believe has jurisdiction?
The ICE officer to order them out of the car per Pennsylvania v. Mims. You don't believe they have that authority.
Right. They very clearly
but
have
isn't the
no.
Pennsylvania case about the
They very
and
clearly
I'm
have no authority.
I
Yes,
just want to
that's
ask a
correct.
question and then I'm gonna leave. May I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead, Will. Blair, I'm gonna mute you while you're not speaking because your wind is crazy.
oh
Go
Thank you.
ahead, Will.
Well, okay, I just wanted to find out how did a traffic infraction become an unaliving that quickly?
I don't.
Good.
Released
It's a
because
good
they
question.
released. Hold on, I have the answer because they released an agent back with clearly PTSD that was unfit for duty, and he went into his fight or flight response based on his feelers and pewed somebody in the face. That's how we got to an unaliving because he was cleared for duty before he was really clear for duty.
Thank you. And
So
as
that
a
goes into
Yeah.
like a negligent hiring, but
that
but
answers my
that that's a
question. Thank you
that's
very
a
much.
valid point. That there's a few things. I'm actually in the middle, so I can argue both sides, but I'm just going based on the constitutional law of the incident that occurred. You have to look at the perception of the officer. That's what, and I know no one wants to hear that, but that's what the Graham case says, and the Barnes case expanding on it. The Barnes case, the only difference between the Graham case and the Barnes case is the Barnes case said you have to look at the totality of the circumstances, not just the seconds before the incident occurred. So the
Could you
general,
articulate under what lawful authority the agent had to stop this vehicle so we can establish how we
oh
even
yeah,
reach Graham
absolutely. So
first?
those are two separate incidents, agent number one and agent number two. I'm only speaking of agent number two.
Okay.
Okay, so agent number one, are you talking about the person who told her to open her door? They
Yeah.
both have,
Who are we
okay.
calling one and who are we calling two,
I
first
would
of
call the
all?
person opening the door because that's the first incident, one.
Okay.
And then agent number two, and this is just me calling them agent one and two, would be, the officer we were talking about.
Okay.
So when you're looking at his actions, and they both have their different totality of circumstances, if she wants to say, or her wife or whoever she was, girlfriend, heir, that unlawful search and seizure, they have their own issues, right? The agent number two, he has his own totality of circumstances. So that's where the video testimony, his own testimony, eyewitnesses, that's what the jury exists because they're the ones to determine whether what he did falls within the meaning of the law. So they have to determine, according to the Graham case, this is a holding of the Graham case, deadly force can only be used in circumstances where you feel an imminent threat to life or body. That is it. This is, everyone conflates, they bring out DOJ regulations. I mean, I've seen every document under the sun. This is the guiding Supreme Court case. The Supreme Court, they're the highest law of the land. They override everything and anything underneath it. I've
Yeah,
seen documents.
I'm asking you where either one of them gets any statutory authority to be anywhere near or asking her to exit the vehicle, because my argument is their authority under 8 USC 1357 is very clear. Interrogate any
See, this
alien or
is the
person
problem. You go
believed to be
on TikTok and you go on the internet and people start pulling up documents and statutes. And I'm telling you as a
yeah,
lawyer,
I'm laying it out as a lawyer. Interrogate any alien or person believed to be an alien as to his right to be or remain in the United States. And my argument is, of course, because it's obvious, car stops are always going to be derivative of that, right? So there was no sole source for that, and they needed to call local law enforcement to clear an obstruction on the road.
oh, okay. So actually, I was listening earlier, and I think you and the other speaker had a very valid point. And that's where, like, when I argue like cases and motions, sometimes it's not black and white. The Graham case is black and white. But you guys brought up the fact that there was, with the incident, this person in the street, I'm trying to be very in the middle here. Were they impeding ICE operations? So that's a good argument that can go both ways. They were on their way to headquarters. Also, an argument against this agent. Number two, why were there 3 shots? And why was he standing in front of the car? So when you're trained not to put yourself in dangerous situations, which is why I was interested in
So
the L.
Blair, isn't willful jeopardy a thing that will and can be a key to the defense or to the prosecution, that self-defense in the case of willful jeopardy can't be used?
I think people just have to look at the one incident. There was, and I know really what's going to matter is the vehicle. Was it going straight into the officer or was she veering away? Did the snow play a role? That's things that I would ask as, an attorney when I'm questioning the officer to determine whether, there's going to be any federal, criminal, civil, or removal charges, which removal is arguably the easiest. That's what you have to, because the Graham statute lays it out. It's the officer's perspective on whether they had
But
a
we
reasonable
could, but the thing
belief.
is we could potentially justify the first pew pew, but the issue of following the car and then 2
Okay.
more
It
is
The
becomes
kind of where it
weaker with
gets
the second and the
sketchy.
third.
the
Yeah.
the core problem now, the core problem here is that you're implying 18 USC 111, which is a criminal statute. You're applying the cannot impede framework to a question of whether or not the lawful authority existed at all, right? You're applying a criminal framework, criminal charges that the DOJ could pursue to a question of did there exist any lawful basis for this stop in the first place, which is answered under a totally different title of the
Actually, I
US
never
code.
said, if you heard me, I said that can be argued both ways. So if you're actively impeding operations, let's say they're going to the house at the end of the block, Renee knew, she blocked them from going in, that's a charge. But in this circumstance, you're on the way back to headquarters, you're not actively involved. I heard, from what I understand, they were going to begin operations after they went to headquarters, but that's a very gray area. So again, I think the issue here is everyone should focus on and this is why you have juries. Like, not everyone agrees. It's actually very hard to get people to agree, and that's why sometimes it takes them a couple weeks. People have to sit here and convince each other. But
Can you explain the Barnes case and what Barnes actually did with jumping on the vehicle so they understand the willful jeopardy part?
well, usually facts of cases. I mean, you want me to look up facts of cases? Now, there's so many cases that exist.
Barnes dash cam shows him jumping onto the vehicle as they drove forward with the door open, and that put him into that dangerous situation. And then he
Blair, Hoff's
willfully.
source is CNN.
No,
What
my
do you
source is the dash cam footage.
I'm
Lord.
confused.
Oh, yeah, but
I'm
here's the problem.
confused.
Remember when I told you in the beginning, the court, the Supreme Court, they take very limited cases. I had a case that you have to petition the Supreme Court and then they have to decide whether they're going to take your case. I actually had a constitutional case where I made it to the Second Circuit. It was a very unfortunate case. It was a First Amendment case, right? But I didn't make it to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court takes these kind of cases for clarification. The facts don't matter as much as the holding, right? And they have influence over the holding. But when you're using facts of the case and you're comparing them to this, that's not what lawyers do. We look at the holding, right? And we say, here, we have the courts expanded on this reasonable belief of life or, imminent threat to life, or I'm so used to saying deprivation, that's First Amendment, life or bodily injury. So they expanded on it. And so when I said earlier, it was really, if under that old law, it would really be just this moments before the perception of the officer, the moments before the shooting occurred. That case,
Blair,
the Barnes case, all it does is say, let's look at the totality of circumstances, meaning the whole entire event.
Mhm.
but and I don't. I may have misunderstood you there. I think we probably agree here. We're operating under the framework like Barnes hurts him here, right? It pretty obviously that
Well,
framework.
I think that's really I don't think I have enough or anyone has enough to form opinions because I think eyewitness testimony, not like scattered,
I mean,
Instagram reels.
look, you went to law school, you did the Socratic method for 3 years. I think you could form a judgment. It's pretty
Well,
hard
I would
against
always
him.
think I would like to win, but
We
well,
all know that trials can
here's
go anyway. I
here's
get that, but
here's the weaknesses of the officer's case. Why'd you shoot 3 times, and why were you standing in front of the vehicle? It's hard
Well,
to overcome. Why did so? What is he? Why? What is the first shot? Arguably, could or could not have been justified. You really have to go step by step,
well,
and that depends on
may I
eyewitness
jump
testimony.
in? May I jump in here I for the three pew pews that argument? Honestly, I'm pretty sure from what I've been hearing, officers are trained to eliminate the threat. Also, it's that the rounds that the amount of time he fired those three pew pews, those are like in milliseconds of each other. No
It's
human
399 official milliseconds.
like
well,
Yeah,
no
you guys
no
definitely did. Listen, you guys definitely did way more research than I am. My boyfriend was like, he's like, don't come to these forums uninformed. In fact, someone just asked me if I was MAGA, and this was the point I was trying to get at. I am not MAGA, and I'm not Kamala. I went into a live, and I had to answer whether I was MAGA or Kamala. I voted for Obama. I supported Bernie in a very big way. I'm looking at this at a very unfortunate situation where the country is extremely divided. And I don't agree with what President Trump did, JD Vance and Tim Walz. I don't think that Tim Walz should have stoked this, saying he was going to bring in the National Guard. The police, again, are there to deal with this situation. And I think he escalated it. I think Renee thought that she was trying to do a good thing. People are very heated over this. Like, it's kind of like a humanity issue. People don't want raids. People don't want people taken away. From my understanding, the operation in Minnesota was limited to criminal and deportation orders. But I don't know. I mean, that's just my basic search. I will say that when I was in immigration court in the city, I was there second week of June, and I had an asylum case. And I mean, the media was like all over I think I was on floor 13, and only one judge was in that day. And the Department of Homeland said, we're going to dismiss your case. And I have an asylum case, right? My client was from the country of Georgia. And, you would think, oh, happy, case dismissed. But this case with EOR, which is court, my client has a stronger, he doesn't have a guaranteed right, but if he's trying to defend an asylum claim, he has some sort of protection, not due process protections, but some sort of protection to stay within this country. I felt very bad for the other people in the courtroom with me because their cases were getting dismissed and they were walking out, and I didn't see them get handcuffed. I did not see that, but they were walking out, and I'm like, oh, they were so excited their cases got dismissed, but they lost some sort of protection. And I will also say that I have cases, so you can affirmatively apply for asylum with USCIS. And I have cases that have been dismissed for no reason, administratively closed. Affirmatively applying, like, you barely win those. It's much easier to actually defend an EOIR. But I think there's definitely, according to campaign promises, it's definitely a priority for Trump to, push immigration. I've seen it myself. I think the judge was very confused in my case specifically when DOH said we want to dismiss the case. From what I heard, there was a memo that said get rid of all these cases. So, it's kind of a little trick. Dismiss them, and then people who don't come in with lawyers, cases get dismissed. But beyond, I really take no position. I have humanity. I feel bad for people. I feel bad for Renee, because Renee truly believed that, well, I can't say it, I'm not Renee, but I think that Renee truly believed that she was protecting people from being deported.
Blair,
Yeah.
professional to professional, I would encourage you to please take a position on this. I'm not like insulting you when you say this. You've specifically said you're not entirely informed about the case, and that's okay. You're busy. I'm sure you work a lot. We all fucking work a lot in this profession. Please take a position on this. It's a big deal.
Oh no, the problem is there, and this is, when I was researching this, when I was on a live, someone pulled up a DOJ document, a policy from DOJ that said, you can't shoot at a vehicle and whatever, and everyone was, what would you say?
Hold on, Blair.
I don't know why
Before
people.
hold on, Control. I'm sorry. Before we get into anything, when we're talking about the action, we have to say pew pew. When we're talking about the weapon,
Oh,
we
okay,
have to say
sorry.
pew pew. When we're talking about HSide, we can say unaliving. We can't say, like, it's just TikTok TOS, and I really need everybody to kind of chill on the trigger words.
But
Oh, okay. I'm not good. If you can see, I barely follow or have any follows.
what I think needs to be understood is that, because you mentioned the DOJ, but ICE isn't under DOJ.
Well, that's
They're
the whole
under.
point. So what happened yesterday was I was in a live, and someone brought up DOJ.
Hold on, Blair. We're gonna let Control finish.
No.
You've had the floor for a minute. They have not spoke up often, so Control, you can finish your point real quick.
Oh, no. I mean, I was just saying that ICE is under the Department of Homeland Security, so they would follow their policies, not the DOJ policies. Although I will say that most of the policies line up, but we just got to make sure that we're finding the correct information that pertains to each group, and just so we're not spreading misinformation. But yeah, I land my plane there. So Blair, I guess you can.
Yeah. So I had to deal with that yesterday where someone brought up a DOJ policy, and the difference between the DOJ policy and the DOH policy was the DOJ policy, which, is FBI, DEA, had something about you can't shoot at a vehicle, right? There wasn't unless after it. Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. Pew, pew. Sorry, pew, pew. And they brought up the policy, and they showed, you can't pew pew at a vehicle, and stop there, right? And I said, different agency, exactly what you said. And I completely agree with you that I took big issue, except I got muted. And I had to, the person on the panel read the whole policy to me, and then I wasn't able to speak. But yeah, no, Department of Homeland Security has their own policies and regulations. So does DOJ. The only difference is the DOJ says something about you can't shoot at a vehicle, but then it has an unless imminent. Oh, I'm so sorry. It's so hard. Pew pew at a vehicle unless unless imminent bodily harm. Whatever. Same standard as Graham. And if you go into the DOJ policy, it was actually changed in 2022 where it says we're complying with Graham. Because remember, Supreme Court cases are at the top. Regulations and policies can't be an opposite to a Supreme Court case.
I'm pretty sure, though, just to clarify, DHS notably different from how the law is in most states, does not credit the fleeing felon excuse or firing on a vehicle.
I, you know, you know, it's probably, I'm gonna be honest with you because I looked at it too. It says the same thing. Basically, what it boils down to is the policy says, which I think is kind of unfair because you have this thing where it's like we're putting so much responsibility on this officer here. But basically, what it all boils down to is up to the discretion of the officer. And I think that's like a flawed system. I understand why they would do it, but I think it's just a flawed system there. Um, but yeah, but
So I
that's
guess, hold on, guys. My second question and the second part of this is where they're trying to get her basically in the books as a domestic T. Do you think they have anything to stand on with getting Renee labeled as that in her
No,
unaliving?
there are a lot of bad arguments permeating through this case. That is probably the dirt bottom of the shoe lowest one. There's nothing. I mean, I don't even know what they would say.
You know, the rhetoric's already being pushed. So that's what makes me think, like, knowing exactly how everything is functioning within
Yeah.
2025 and 2026 has been fucking, it's just been dropping nukes on us literally almost every fucking day. Like 2026 is already
Yeah.
crazy.
And
And
my
so
my
what
understanding too is also if DHS wants to bring their authority to, exercise whatever authority they do have over a domestic T, that's a designation they have to make in good faith ahead of time. They cannot like in a moment designate a person as domestic T, and they certainly cannot do it after the fact and then retroactively make that part of the analysis of we had the authority to puke you. So, yeah,
Well, I
I don't
think
know
there.
what they would
Oh,
even
sorry.
say.
I think there needs to be a policy change within, the training, which is what I brought up earlier. I mean, there's a lot of nasty comments in the chat. I was hesitant to come in. I mean, people are saying, I mean, this happened yesterday. I don't know facts. And, it's very unfortunate that, someone called me
has
MAGA.
anything, but has anything that essentially happened on yesterday's panel happened on today's panel?
No, today was you guys were much nicer.
Okay.
Yesterday was
So
very,
let's leave yesterday with yesterday
oh,
and
no,
we'll
no, I'm
just keep
talking about
rocking
this
out.
chat. People are saying this. No, not you guys, not the panel, the comments in this chat.
Yeah, Blair, we have 7.4 billion people in the world. We cannot control what everybody does on a social media platform. So I strongly encourage you just to, disregard because these people don't mean nothing to you in your personal life. If you feel that they are negative, respectfully just ignore them because as a creator on here, if I tell you the amount of hate and disrespect I've gotten, I probably should have left this app years ago. But if it's not something you want to hear, just respectfully ignore it because unfortunately, we can't control what everybody says, right?
Well, no, I find it an issue where, I'm just trying to focus on the one incident that occurred with the second cop. I think I think that there should be reform within ICE, and I think there should be better training to, accommodate what is happening today, real life situations where someone is put in this situation. And that's mainly my position. This didn't happen during the Obama era, and the training is not sufficient.
I want to
Yes,
also
guys.
add on to. Oh, Captain, did you want to say something?
Yes, and thank you for letting me in. I'm from South Africa,
Hmm.
and I watched it, and I was very shocked. Okay, and one question that I have is, she said to the officer, she said, "I'm not cross for you, man." Just before she reversed, she tried to keep the situation calm. He walked around the vehicle, okay, on his phone. Now he knows that she's reversing. He knows that she's turning to the right from my side that I saw it now, okay. He still goes and stands in front of her. Not from my side. What we see in South Africa is we see that she tried to get out of the situation where she was not supposed to be, and then it escalate. Why does he use the full force on the body and not on the vehicle to bring it to a standstill. She can't run away, especially not from the police. There's no ways. I mean, why does the system allow full force? She doesn't have a weapon with her, so the vehicle is a weapon, but he puts himself in line of the weapon. So for me, that in our case, you put yourself indirectly in front of a shotgun. Why would you want to do that? Normally, you see the vehicles and the police, they keep their distance, they keep it calm, and they'll even do a chase if they need to bring it to a standstill if there's backup. They won't use that type of force. I've never seen that type of force full on. And from our side, that for us is he was from my side. He was angry, and he was out of control because he was still on his phone. If you in a situation where you see there's a threat coming towards you, you'll drop your phone and you have both hands on the firearm, which for me it's I'm sorry, that for me is unfortunately, he's an officer and everyone gets judged now, but him himself in the situation how he handled it, they should go look into what happened in the morning before he came to work, because there's something that wasn't right. And
No,
she tried to
Captain,
keep it calm. See, when she
Captain,
still said to him,
Captain, have you seen JD Vance mention that 6 months prior he was dragged by a vehicle? And so it wasn't something that happened that morning. It was PTSD, maybe in a sense. And he just shouldn't have been cleared for duty. He shouldn't have been with his firearm. He shouldn't have been with his badge. He shouldn't have been with his uniform.
Yeah, that's an
this is
argument for
shocking.
removal. That, again, you have criminal, civil removal. That's definitely an argument for removal. They look at different factors, of course, but
Argue he wasn't in front of the vehicle until she backed up. She didn't back straight up. She backed up in a catty corner that took him from the passenger side fender area towards the front, not in front of the vehicle, to the driver's side in front of that fender, but in front of the vehicle, staring at each other.
Huff, I want to comment on that. Because I was watching the video too, and I do see what you're saying here. I do agree that her moving the vehicle made her reversing the vehicle made him closer to the middle of the vehicle. However, she was reversing, he continued to walk closer to the middle of the vehicle. He didn't stop. Usually when people see a car about to move, or even if they're just reversing away from you, they know that they need to get out the way, or they need to be prepared to be able to move out the way if they need to, just in
And I
case it's
wanna pause real quick for everybody saying I don't know his mental state. Y'all's vice president told me. Okay, so thank you. Like,
Also said absolute immunity, which isn't a thing. So JD Vance can say
yeah.
dumbass things, same as Trump, same as Biden, same as Obama. Take the
But it was
politics and the
poor him
stupid.
because of the six
I
months
get
of
it, but
him
then
getting dragged. Why bring
argue
it
it in
up? Because
court.
they wanted it. Exactly. She said just now, Blair said it is absolutely like grounds. Like it could be
Well,
negligence in aspect to the department. So you
and
keep playing with me
if
like
it
I don't know what I'm talking
if
about.
it
And it's
makes it to
absolutely
court,
there. And if people stand on these two powerful people of our country's word so heavy that they
I don't.
neglect to see unaliving, they're gonna take the side that this poor man had PTSD and this evil criminal that told him she wasn't angry at him wanted to like what, like, bro, please be so for real.
No, her intentions are not what you look. You look at the
He seem
vehicle in the
aggressive.
Barnes case. You
Okay.
in the Barnes case, and in the actually it's Connor or Graham v. Connor. In the Graham v. Connor, it's really specific. It doesn't matter what her intentions are. It matters what the vehicle's doing And in the officer's eyes and position, as you, the officer, did he feel that it was a threat to unalive him or seriously hurt him?
Yeah, and as I keep repeating, that's actually the only thing that really matters in this. And then you have the videos and the testimony of the agents and eyewitnesses that would go to this. His perception as a reasonable officer. When you hear reasonable, you can't take just him as a person with his PTSD. You have to put him in the position of a reasonable officer in general.
They're gonna break it down to his last psych eval. They're gonna break it down to how many things have happened. They're gonna break it down. Like the thing is that the PTSD is a big thing. And somebody that is JD Vance telling the world, which also could sway a jury. Like that's the thing, is the word of mouth of it all. Like it's just fucking crazy. But I'm gonna get ostracized for saying he has PTSD. Like that's crazy to me. Y'all are wild, because it does. These powerful positions saying things in a such, exactly why I'm saying it to y'all. It sways everything, because it does matter. And y'all want everybody up here to feel so bad and to think about her past and put her past into perspective. But if I do it to the cop, I'm the fucking bad guy. This shit is so
Nobody spoke
hypocritical.
to her
It's
past.
crazy.
Speaking to her past, we're speaking to the moment of the situation. And even if you argue the PTSD, that helps his case more because it says on to the department, not to him. He's not the one that would have cleared him. The department would have cleared him with the psych eval and PTSD.
The psych eval would be somebody that came in and talked to you for a minute and then wrote down on a paper and then handed it to your department and said, yeah, he's good to go. Literally,
That's
that's
how
how it
psych evals
goes.
work.
Are you kidding me? I'm a
Yeah, a
first
military
responder.
that's
I've
gone
gone through
through.
them. I am a first responder. I worked with BP for 3.5 years under the Biden administration. Do you know how many psych evals I've passed when my whole fucking life felt like it was falling apart? The thing is like, it's just not, it's not conducive, you guys. Like this psych eval, everybody put so much into it. Sean Grayson passed it too, and he had those past charges. This is exactly what we've seen with Sonia Massey, where people are screaming and screaming that she threw this water. Sean Grayson also called her a crazy bitch right after pew-pewing her in the face, and he's sitting in for life. So the crazy thing is we're bringing up all of these titles and all of these past cases and all of these things that have been brought into law, not looking at it like every case is its own. And this man did in fact not need to keep following the car for the 2 extra pews. So that's kind of where it veers, even if it gets that far. The thing is it was over unaliving, even if you don't think it was unaliving or justified or whatever the fuck. 3 pews is over unaliving, period, point blank.
Was struck with the vehicle as his leg does show. It slides
Okay.
back. His leg slides back when you look at the perspective where you see the 2 officers from the rear quarter panel of the driver's side. It slides back. He's not Michael
Sir,
Jackson
you
moonwalking.
sympathize very scary
No,
things.
no,
I just
I'm
hope you
giving
know.
no. See, again, you are in your feelings, and I'm just giving you the
Really
case
not.
law
I'm telling
and
you
the
right now,
facts of the
because you're
situation.
making the same exact argument that everybody on TikTok wanted to about Sean Grayson. There's a line, and there's a line that can be crossed where over unaliving is a thing. And that's the biggest thing here. It doesn't matter what position or which way the car is, whatever the fuck you have. The three is over unaliving, period. It was a head pew. It was visibly able to be seen. The car was already advancing past his body, where this woman was incapable of turning around and pewing at him, because she also didn't have a fucking pew herself. So he continued pewing her as she was going away, which would essentially be in the fucking back.
I have a question, because you guys seem more, informed about the actual situation. Was there like an actual protest going on, or was it just the vehicle was in the road?
So there were people that were antagonizing, blowing whistles. The wife of Renee Good also said that they were down there to support their neighbors. They were
Yeah.
down there
I
armed
mean,
with
so I
whistles.
think I'm going to go back to like, why wasn't local police there? Because again, their job is when there is, any sort of evidence of a protest, they're supposed to be there. Now I don't know if they were called, but
The problem that I've seen, and even here in California, is that the local police doesn't just want to be involved with it. So they're not there to
Well,
back them up.
that's what I tried to highlight earlier is I think this is a failure. And again, I will argue, I don't want to, everyone's calling me MAGA. I don't like Trump and I didn't vote for Kamala. I was Obama, then voted for Bernie. I don't even know why I have to say this. It shouldn't matter. But, you know, there's a real big problem when you have the governor of a state who's saying they're going to deploy the National Guard. But like, why weren't the police here in this situation, right? Like, if there's a protest, they should have some sort of.
It literally looked like it happened so quickly, Blair. Like, I
Mhm.
don't know how many people have been in really crazy situations, but like literally, like in this may be in defense of the fucking officer or her. Things happen so fucking fast, and then everybody stands back like, what the fuck just happened? That's why everybody's like, what did you do? What the fuck? What the fuck? It's because it just goes so fast. It looks like in the full clip, everybody was dispersing. She was waving people. Everybody was dispersing. It's already been stated by the people on the
Can
officer's
anyone
It's
side
look
pretty
up
good. I
that
got a
they
lot
were
of
on
how
the way
long
sleep
this
back.
protest
and
occurred for? Because
everything. So yeah.
Hold on.
I think that there's a failure. If it occurred for a reasonable amount of time, I think there's a failure in the local police department.
I don't know if the police department was even called.
Exactly. But that goes into, you know, when you're looking at totality of the circumstances, you know, these are questions that are asked. You know, how long did this protest, now we can classify it as a protest, you know, exist? Did anyone call the local police? Again, and I will say this, and everyone knows this, ICE is not equipped for these type of protests. Their training is limited to crowd control.
Now,
See,
I can't say what was happening out in Minnesota because I wasn't there with the police department.
But that's why
But
when you
here,
ask me to judge these type of things, I don't want
So
to.
Blair, we got to remember there's other people on the panel. Respectfully, like you keep cutting him off. So can you just let him land his plane, please?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yes,
No worries.
absolutely.
here in California, I work for the media. I work very closely with different city police departments, but I also had a chance to follow along with the HSI, DHS, Border Patrol, California National Guard, and basically United States Army for these different things that they've been doing. And, you know, like she said, everything's happened, like Kalak said, everything's happening so quick, so like fast. And with these people that are out there heckling, screaming, yelling, throwing bottles, throwing food, throwing, you know, being out there to antagonize people, it is a very stressful situation, even for me, just having a camera in my hand. And, you know, I can't imagine having to have the pressure of potentially unaliving somebody. And, you know, with that being said, it's a very stressful situation. We don't know everything that's going on, you know, and hats off to everyone that's doing these jobs. I'm also a first responder, so I know what it's like to be in stressful situations. Now, with this being said, will everything be taken into consideration? Prior history, the few minutes before this happened. That's what I want to know. That's what I want to see. Is this all going to play out in a court of law?
I'm being honest, from the police officer's POV, it looked like it was the wife that was the antagonizer over the lady driving. The lady driving was like, dude, I'm not mad at you. And then the wife is like, fuck you, fat boy, go get lunch. Like, so it's really like, if anything, he shifted his
You could do
energy
that?
from the
No.
woman that pissed
Oh, I
him
don't want to be up
off.
here.
Oh shit, Georgie. You've been
I did
muted the
too.
whole time. We haven't heard nothing. Sorry, babe. I didn't know. But damn, I forgot my whole train of thought. Oh, it seemed like the wife really pissed him the fuck off, and then the other wife paid for it type shit. Like, I need one of you, because Eddie, I know we're on opposite sides of the fence here on this fucking thing. I need you. The only thing I need you to explain to me is the two pews when she was essentially back turned towards him. The extra two pews, not the first initial one that clearly the car was now out of control because it went completely the other way. When the car advanced past his body, Why? How can you justify these 2 extra pews now that he is out of the way of the car and in stance to put 2 more into her? How do you justify that? Tell me, that's my only question here. Justify the 2 when her back was essentially turned.
In stopping a threat, and most of the time you'll hear this from law enforcement, military, it's 2 to the head, 1 to the chest type of situation. I think that those 2 other shots in quick succession were part of stopping the threat. Um, I've seen it firsthand. I've seen these
Is that
planes.
when the threat is still advancing towards you, or when their back is essentially turned to you? Would you like, that's the thing. That's the changing thing here. When it's continuing to advance forward, like if this car was going straight for him and he wasn't on the side of it, and there was like a good amount of feet where it's still advancing directly towards him, where I would also deem that what you're saying. But now, the way the car moved, her back would be essentially turned. You don't pew pew anybody in the back. And we're just neglecting that because she was in a vehicle that clearly was leaving his complete vicinity. It wasn't whipping a fucking Yui and going after him again.
That's one of the things that I also believe has to be come down to forensics, because if you actually look in one of the videos, you see one of the agents skip away, and I don't know if he was struck by something, whether it was glass, metal, fragmentation, or anything like that. But everything happened so quick that you and I both know that things can happen in what feels like a lifetime out there, or things can happen really, really slow, and it's all at the same time, right?
And so
Just
does
think,
that case, that Graham case, just, oh,
Hold on,
sorry.
hold on. But this is exactly where I bring Sean Grayson into it when we get into the level of like malice attached to it. Because Sean Grayson, too, as soon as he pew pewed Sonia Massey in the face, he called her a crazy bitch. But not even that is what keeps it exactly alike. But after he fled the scene, he left. And then, not even just that makes it alike, he told his partner not to render medical aid, just like these agents told them, the doctor, that he didn't need to render anything. And while I heard your argument about medics being with these teams, nobody was holding up their duty to render aid to anybody down. So all around, just like the Sonia Massey case, it's on the agency, the agent, and their incapability to carry out protocol.
now I know Chef's scrolling right now, and I was going to ask him if he could bring up a video, because as they're going and he's walking back to his vehicle, there's actually 2 trauma bags coming towards him. Now I don't know what the policy is for DHS or CBP or ICE in this case, or whatever he was with, what their policy is in for agent involved PPUings or OIS or anything like that. But I know that in some departments out here, once the initial event is over, that officer is separated from the situation. His firearm is taken from him. It's cleared. It's counted how many shots were undone from that firearm. So everything starts coming in, and they are completely taken off a scene.
Ian 3, sorry, what's your job?
I'm a photojournalist now, so
Oh,
I'll go with
okay.
that.
I didn't know if you were, what you're, all right.
Well, like I said, we'll go with that's what I do now.
Okay, what did you do prior?
I was an EMT.
Oh, okay. Oh, interesting. So K and you. All right.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
and
I think
That's my
that's
homie.
and
it.
my dad is actually a police officer still. My aunt is a federal agent. I won't name what department she's with, but she's a federal agent. So we all have family that are still in these situations, and I worry about them all the time. But it's also good because we can reference them when we're talking about these things.
I'm so thankful that the humanitarian aid got cut in reference to my job when Trump came into office. I am so thankful I never put this fucking PIV card on my chest during this past fucking year. Like, I am so thankful that my position was removed before any of this fucking started. That's something I will say. Like, I am very thankful, whether what side I'm on. Like, it's dangerous for both sides. It's real dangerous for the immigrants. It's real dangerous for the people that have been here for 30 years. And it's real also dangerous for the people associated with the department. And that's kind of the scary part with JD Vance saying absolute immunity and going door to door. We're going to have so many Americans that, like, it's kind of putting us in a sense of like door to door. This is how Anne Frank ended up in a fucking cat addict. Like, you guys, like, so, and there's a lot of people that think like that. I don't even vote. I do not want to be associated with politics in any fucking way ever in my life because it seems like just a whole bunch of lies and a whole bunch of unaliving. But like, just everybody's literally in danger and then blaming each other and like not attacking any issue that it actually is.
Okay, I'm with you too. I feel bad for both sides. And like, I'm definitely disillusioned with voting. I mean, it's hard to like exist in this world, looking at America. I seriously feel like there's a downfall in America, and we have, President Trump, who, without, sitting in a trial and watching, just coming to the conclusion that this officer didn't do anything wrong. Again, I don't think he should take that position, especially so quickly. Vance with the immunity, and Tim Walz with deploying the National Guard, stoking.
I don't even think it's Trump or Harris or Biden. I just think this whole system is fucked.
That's all I have. I don't have anything on my card right now.
But that's what the media does. And like I said, I had to, like, people were calling me MAGA supporters in this. Yesterday, MAGA, I had to say who I was for. So, I mean, I see, the issues with, the civil and criminal, with the immunity. As an officer, people are going to put their opinions on, what the reasonableness of this officer, in terms of whether he truly felt there was an imminent threat. And then, Renee. But I can see objectively there's arguments for both sides.
It's going to be interesting for sure.
Unfortunately, I don't know how, for the criminal and civil, getting past the immunity is going to be a difficult. That's not for Vance to say. That's for a federal judge. But to get to those stages, you have to get past the immunity argument. And for the civil case, you have the Babbitt case, which I'm sure will be cited if there's a civil case.
Now, the other thing I was going to bring up, Blair and Kalak and everyone else listening, is with the local law enforcement not being there, I know that in California there's laws for yielding to emergency vehicles. So whether they were retreating, were going back, and they have all their lights activated, her position should have been to stop. Is that correct?
Emergency vehicle when they're literally disguised. ENE, whatever the fuck I need to call you on this panel, please be so for real. These are unmarked cars regardless. It's not an ambulance. It's not a police car. It's not a fire truck. Like, and there wasn't, did you see one light? Did you see any lights and sirens? Because I sure didn't. So like, please. And they're also masked. Like, there's nothing displaying who they are unless they get out with their vests on.
They're all activated. Like, everyone has lights on.
But ICE goes based on their training and their protocols. They have regulations, they have policies, they get trained, 4 to 6 weeks, whatever it is. And this is what this officer was trained on, which is why I say there's a failure in this and there should be a policy change that, given the current environment, ICE should be trained better.
But do you know why they are masked, though? Do any of y'all know why they are masked?
Probably to protect themselves,
Okay,
Josh.
because with all this happening, they came out with the guy's name and everything. People found out where he lived. Now he's in some form of protective custody. Now him and his family is now. This is why they wear masks. Because there's going to be people not liking what they're doing and blah, blah, blah. We can say, oh, it's Trump's fault or blah, blah. We can say it's Biden's fault for leaving the border open. The fact is, this is their job. Their job is not just to get illegals. Like, I'm pretty sure I heard and I read that they were there that day, not for illegals. They were there to get a PDF. That's why they were there. And
When do ICE pick up PDFs that are legal citizens?
no, hold on. That's a part of their job.
Yeah, it is.
Their job is not just illegals. The part of their job is going after these like PDFs and everything. They have multiple assets to their job. It's not just illegals.
And that,
And
Josh, that's an important point because their job, whether it be PDF to port, does not include, beyond crowd control, dealing with these types of situations. That is for the police. And that's what I keep emphasizing.
well, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I get that what you're saying. But this whole thing going like how it went down. It was bad on both sides. But like the guy said earlier, how fast did this happen? If you count the seconds in the video between the back up moving forward, it was 3.5 seconds. What are you going to do in 3.5 seconds? How are you going to like process that? How are you
Can
going
I
to
speak on this really quick? Sorry, I've waited. So I'm talking more about protocol here. I'm a social worker, so I'm not a, first responder, but I've been in situations, I've been in dangerous spots. And obviously, just like social work, first responding, police, anyone has protocols. And my concerns are, and then what to me makes this feel unjustified, is the fact that he did not follow protocol multiple times.
what
He
was the
put
protocol? What was
himself.
his protocol?
So you're not supposed to put yourself in front
But
of.
when did he
And
get in front of? But when did he get in
he
front of that
walked in
vehicle?
front of it 2 times.
Okay,
He walked
first time.
around the whole
Okay,
car and walked in front of
Josh,
it
yeah.
2
please don't
times.
interrupt her. Please let her finish land her plane. She was respectfully waiting to speak.
All
So
right,
please.
go ahead.
So he walks around it 2 times. When he's walking around the back, I think after the first whole loop, that is when Renee's wife says rude things. I'll be honest, they're rude. But a part of your job and part of any first responder's job or someone that supports the community, you can't react. I've been called slurs. I've been called all sorts of things. You can't, that's not a reason to react. In that moment, when he's recording on his phone, he released his own video, and I'm going off his video here. In that moment, after that, he's walking around the side of the passenger side. He switches his hand that's holding his phone to his non-dominant hand, and he has his main hand free, and so he can unholster his pew pew.
Okay,
To me, he was already prepared. He was angry. And
okay,
again, that's perception. I have my own thoughts. I have my own
yes,
views, and that's not as so relevant, but there's also your job is to de-escalate, and if he's not being trained or following the rules to do that, he is at fault.
okay,
Just like I would lose my ability to work in the social work field if I reacted.
okay. Now,
So,
my
Josh,
view
my
is
question to you though, because you mentioned
good.
something earlier. My question to you, because you mentioned something earlier about, they're obviously not just trained to go get illegals. They're trained to
Yes.
get PDFs, this, that, and whatever, right? Why didn't he just carry out and do what he went there to do?
Okay. Because in this case, just like with any, just regular law enforcement, right? Once somebody impedes on their like what they're doing,
So
it's
how was
like
he
they have that.
impeding? Hold on one second. How was he impeding?
Not him
How was
impeding.
she
She
impeding
was.
if every other car had no problem to get around it?
Okay. Okay. All right. Did you watch all the videos? The one even before all that situation happened.
Yes, yes. I saw from
She
when she
was
was
there,
letting
and
them.
that she was there for like what 15 minutes. And then it came out already that all day, her and her wife were just antagonizing the ICE officers, going around blowing their whistles and everything else. Am I correct?
Sure.
Okay. She has her vehicle parked sideways on a one-way street, right? And she was not just parked there for a second, not just for 5 seconds, not just for a minute. She was there for quite a while. It was already proven. Okay. Now we're gonna get into where he went by and put his vehicle out there because now he got out, put his camera because I think these guys need to be wearing body cameras, just like regular law enforcement. I think they need to be wearing body cameras. He walked around the vehicle, yes, okay. The guy got her tag, yes. Then that's when the wife antagonized him. Yes, emotions, yada yada yada. Well, in the video, if you watch it play by play, slow motion, he was not just standing in front of that vehicle. He was still in the process of walking around. And when he switched his phone to his other hand, That's when you start to hear the other officer say, "Get out the vehicle." Okay, so she's in a running vehicle. So he needs to put his the phone in the other hand and have his other hand ready just in case anything. That's called preparedness. Okay. All right. Within that moment, she backed up the vehicle and that then put him in front of the vehicle. He didn't position himself in the front of that vehicle. Then if you look at the vehicle, the back of it goes down as acceleration. Okay.
Ashton Kutcher is about to pop out.
As the back of the vehicle goes for the acceleration. So by that time, he draws his weapon because now technically that vehicle is now a weapon because you're about to flee and nobody knows what you're going to do. And if you count the seconds and the time, 3.6 seconds, all this happened.
So
3.6.
so basically, she's trying to control the threat, right?
Well, trying to control, but in 3.6 seconds, you can sit here all day. I can sit here all day. Anybody on this panel can sit here all day. Well, this should have happened. That should have happened. Guess what? We weren't
No,
there.
I'm
None
just
of us
saying.
are.
So you try to escalate a moving vehicle, and we all saw how where that vehicle went after he shot her. So when was she more dangerous? Before she was shot, or
Okay.
after she was shot?
I get. Well, after she was shot, then
Before?
before, because she hit the officer. What are you what are you talking about at this point?
Are you?
Then when he
So when you
shot her,
saw,
I give
so
it to
when
you.
you saw that vehicle just crash into the white car, and there have been children playing over there for whatever reason, that's not
Okay,
more dangerous.
let me ask you this. Okay, I give it to you. That's more dangerous. I give that to you. She was incapacitated at that time because I meant her probably was pressed on the gas pedal. I get
Come
that.
on now, yeah,
Okay,
like
But
no, I
he
get
didn't
that.
know she was going to press on the
Yeah, she
gas
didn't know.
pedal
Yeah, she
after he
also did.
shot her.
He didn't know
How's he
that. But
supposed to know
also,
that?
do you know when people flee? What sometimes happens when people flee? They run stop signs. They run red lights. They
so
hit people.
you're assuming
Like
that, but I
you're
seen what.
assuming.
No, no, no,
You're
no, no,
assuming.
sir. You're assuming that, but I seen in real life what happened after he shot her. Because she could have just got
Yeah, but
scared.
you couldn't take.
I'm sorry, but there's no way you could have known that, my guy. There's
Yeah,
no
She
way.
sure.
didn't flee in a safe manner. She was careless and
Yeah,
reckless in her fleeing.
and
That was another
I'm gonna
traffic
Oh
and
violation.
we're
my
and we're, and we're gonna
gosh.
sit here and
Were
go
her
back and
wheels
She
forth.
I
turned?
was
just,
Were her wheels
I
already.
have
turned,
something to
or were her
say.
wheels straight? Were her wheels turned, or were they straight?
They were
By the
straight at
time
first.
she goes
And
forward,
by
the
the
wheels are straight
Hey, one
think
at
when
a
about
she
this, my
time,
first goes
y'all.
guy.
One
forward.
at a time. I can't even
Think
hear
about okay.
everybody. Please,
Think
one at
about
a
this, my
time.
guy.
Good looking though.
3.6 seconds. Think about that. Put your timer on. Do 3.6 seconds. How fast is that? You tell me.
It's a quick decision.
Quick decision. And guess what? Now, sometimes the best decision is not always made in 3.6 seconds. That's fast. That's like almost a blink of an eye.
Josh, I'm going to
A
ask
life
you
and
the
death
same
decision.
thing I asked everybody. Explain the last two pews to me when she
Okay.
was essentially
That
already had
one,
her back turned.
that one's, that could go here or there, but
Right.
I don't have law experience. I have combat experience, 8-year Army veteran, one tour to Baghdad. When there's something called an adrenaline dump, when we get into like engagements and stuff, this is not the same thing as just civilian world. You get something called an adrenaline dump, right? You don't feel like, yeah, he may not seem like he was not hurt at that time, but he just got hit by a car. The adrenaline's going through him. Just,
I got
no
something
amount
to
of
say.
training, no amount of training is going to allow you to control an adrenaline like that. And it could be, he fired the first shot and just that adrenaline just kept pumping through him. And
If one
that's
shot
just
is justified,
I'm
the
still
the
looking
second
for
and
I'm
third
still
is
looking
just.
for the video that he got hit by the car.
Oh,
my
it did
guy.
hit some
My
In
guy
his
is
police.
own
It's
proven.
out there.
video,
Unless you're blind, unless you really are
It's
blind,
out there.
unless you're Ray Charles over here,
All right, bro,
he
you
got
ain't
hit
gonna
by a
fucking
car.
disrespect
There's
me, pussy.
yeah, there's no
no.
need to
There's
be
several
You
rude.
ain't
different
gonna
Can
angles.
I
It's
disrespect
just
me,
a different
pussy.
can I
angle.
speak on that?
I have something to say whenever it's my turn.
Go ahead.
So the police, local police were pulled from the situation, same as it was done in California. So these guys are out there on their own. Tim Walz said it, the mayor said it, can't remember his name, but they pulled local
Rude.
police. These guys are out there on their own doing a federal they're doing their job, what they're told to do, and they have to make these split second decisions. And this is not the first time they've rammed at people with cars and these protesters they're trying to create and the media is pushing this, and politics is pushing this to create martyrs so they can then go on television and say this is the reason they don't need to be in Minneapolis. Same thing that happened in California. We just got to look at big picture. They're out there on their own. God forbid any of us have to go do that job. I would not want to do. They couldn't pay me enough to do it. I'm an engineer. I sit in an office. If I make a mistake, it's not life or death, and I thank God for that. And these guys, I mean, it's a sad situation. She lost her life, shouldn't have been there. I don't think what 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 she thought she was going to accomplish, I don't think was possible to accomplish. I think she was misguided, misled, and I feel for her. And I feel for the wife. I just think they're very confused people, and they think what they're doing is heroic, and in my opinion, it's not. I don't think there's any heroicism in it. And it's just for a media ploy to push an agenda, and it's sad that we're that divided, and the politics cares that little about human life to use these people as martyrs and for their political agenda.
I'll
That's my
agree with
opinion
your
on it.
last statement. I don't agree with everything you said because I don't think they actually pulled the police. I don't know if people can fact check that. You can't pull the police from the state, but are they a sanctuary city? I don't know. Someone can look it up.
They are.
But they are. Okay, so they can't just help ICE enforce. That's the only difference. But in terms of these protests, they should be there if they had knowledge.
From what I understand, they were not. They were pulled. Same as what was in California. They were not. They
That's
were
a
not
gross
helping.
misuse of power. You can't tell the police to not. That I mean, I can't fact check this. If I move out of TikTok, I'll lose this. I don't know how to use my phone. But you can't just tell the police to not exist in a state.
To pull it from these areas, from these protests, to where they were
So
on
he
their
was
own.
specifically saying the police cannot be present at protests. That is extremely concerning.
Yeah,
Yeah, the same thing in California.
I think you're misconstruing. They weren't there and allowed to work with ICE, even if it's in
Right.
protecting the citizens.
That's a sanctuary city, correct?
Yes.
They can't help them.
Yep.
But in terms of these protests,
They're not protecting
is that what
them
you were
either,
saying,
though.
engineer, that they were told they can't be at the protests?
They can't protect them. Like, they're not protecting them from throwing objects, from spitting, from cars and all this.
That is extremely dangerous. Is there anyone that can fact check this? Because, for a governor, and that, that's really sad because Renee was not protected in this situation. If the governor knows that there's going to be possibly these type of dangerous situations that naturally occur with protests, you see police, you're a little more restrained. That's an issue.
Yeah, they're throwing snowballs, which can be really hard when it's above freezing. Like, you can pack a snowball really hard when it's above freezing.
JT, Turks and Stasha, you're saying that it's true that Waltz actually told the police they cannot be present at protests? Wow.
They're pulled.
Wow. So, and so why is he calling in the National Guard? To fight ICE, but he can't protect his own citizens?
That's his narrative.
Yeah.
But you see, when I came in the beginning,
divided. That's the political division that I'm talking about.
Yes, and this is extremely dangerous.
Yes.
And then you have to go with the left or the right, and you get called out. I mean, Renee came in with whatever intention she had, but there's supposed to be police protection there.
Blair, I was gonna ask you.
Agreed for both parties in that situation.
Yes.
What is the job, the main job of the National Guard? Who has power?
Listen, they throw this around a lot, and Trump throws it around.
I'm asking you because I want you to.
Guys are ready for me to speak, just let me know, but I live here. And so I think I can shed a lot of light and clear up some of what Blair's asking for.
Yeah, go ahead. Hey, Lily, by the way, go ahead. Yeah, she definitely does live there. So let's hear it.
Okay, so I need to calm myself here. Okay, Walz did not call in the National Guard, number one. Never called in the National Guard. Most of you know we have been through George Floyd, right?
They said he threatened to call them.
Okay, no, you're going to let me speak. Sorry. You're going to let me speak, and then I'll let you speak. What happened during his press conference was he said National Guard was here training this week. He said, I have them on standby should we need them to do crowd control, not against ICE. not against ICE. That is completely wrong. It's completely false. Go back and watch the press conference. I beg of you. Come with facts. He didn't say that. He has never called the National Guard in. Minneapolis Police Department has not been pulled. Our police are still on the streets. They are outnumbered now. We have 3,000 Border Control ICE agents here in the state. There's 600 on the force for MPD. They are outnumbered. There is more. And when I tell you guys, you have no idea what is happening here. None. They are not doing things lawfully. There are checkpoints. We are being stopped. We are being asked to show our identification. They are rolling up on us at Target, at Home Depot, shopping centers. They are walking around on the streets. There's more on the streets than our normal police officers. They are conducting traffic stops. If you are brown, you are being pulled over. You are asked to show your identification. That is not lawful. And what she was doing was following ICE or other things that were going on. All of these people that are alerting people that ICE are in the area, that's within their right. They can blow their whistles, they can honk their horns. And that's what was going on. He was on the other side of her car. The second car pulls up later. He could have left. He was on the other side of her car. He got out. He didn't like what they were saying. He got out. He circled the car. He circled the car. And then when the other agent pulled up and got out of the car, that's when he drew for his weapon. And when and let me just tell you, nobody else doxed this man. It was first reported by our Star Tribune here. Who doxed him was Kristi Noem herself. We all know of the case that happened here in June, which involved this same agent. He popped someone's window in a traffic stop, reached in to grab the door handle, and the person took off. He would not let go, and he was dragged for 100 feet. He had 30 to 40 stitches. We all knew that live here. We all knew of that case at the time. It was on the news. They didn't show the agent's face. They didn't give his name. But they wanted the public to be aware of what happened to him. So when she got on the news and said he was a local agent and that he had an incident where he was dragged back in June, everybody was able to put it together. Within an hour of him doing this, agents were at his home, moving him out of his house. The name didn't get doxed until the next day. And why aren't we able to know his name? If this was any law enforcement officer that did this in a pew-pewing, we would know that officer's name. They are not police officers. They're not. They're not allowed to conduct traffic stops, but they're doing it. That's what we're so upset about here.
It
It
wasn't a
wasn't a
traffic stop.
traffic stop, and here's the article that says Tim Walz did authorize the National Guard this week.
He did not.
Yeah, are you
He
going to
did. He
deny
threatened it.
the news articles that said he did? Because
What
the
news
first day it
article?
was a warno. The second day it was authorized.
We have no
There's a
National
lot of
Guard on our streets.
misinformation out there.
I know. That's
There's
all you've been saying this whole time.
It seems like some people are getting different news than other people are.
Thank you. Exactly. There's no
Like,
National Guard on
I
the
think,
streets here.
Then
There's
but
no
you're
National
in a
Guard.
wrong because I have
left-run
plenty of
government over
articles I
there.
could bring up that
Well,
say
does anyone have a
otherwise.
video of Walt saying he is considering deploying the National Guard?
No,
He
you
was
didn't say
vague.
considering. You
He
didn't
was
say
vague.
considering.
Yeah, he said he had them ready.
He
At
had
the
them ready if they
ready to
should be
deploy.
for crowd
He
control.
didn't say crowd control
It's
from my
not
He did
knowledge.
against
not.
ICE.
He
Well,
did not
Guys,
say
time out,
crowd
time
One at
out.
a
When she
control.
time,
first came
yo.
up
One
here,
at a time.
she literally said he has them on standby. She made it clear she did not say that he has them out there.
Yeah, so
That's
I
not
refute it with this article, meaning she is not being correct.
okay. But
So
if,
can that be
what is the source?
construed as
What is the source?
agitation? Your own governor saying we need to bring in the.
What is the
Yeah, can
I
you
source?
can
read
bring
that?
up
Because
police
I can
one.
pull up articles that said
Yeah,
Andy Reid was fired yesterday.
police one. You can bring up Fox. You can bring up whatever you want. You tell me. I'll bring it up.
Can you bring up the video if you could find it?
It was, I I mean, that's up to the host because he's got power of showing video.
Okay, let me go back to this again. And if you guys really want to know, people that are right-leaning in our state are calling for the National Guard to be brought in. Number one, they're calling for it. They are calling for the National Guard to be brought in to stop the protests that are going on. Because yesterday there was 5,000 peacefully marching in the streets.
Lee, does that mean that your local police can't control them? Is that what's going on?
Nope. And so the night before, that's a great question, Blair. I'm glad you brought it back to that. The night before, there was also a smaller protest of people walking in the streets. They got to the hotel where they believed that the ICE agents were staying. This has been going on too for a month where they, protest outside at night, walk around the hotel. And the police department, the Minneapolis PD showed up, made a barrier line, pushed the protesters back. So for anybody saying that, like, you just don't understand, like, you don't have the facts. We live here. We know. And I'm not going to let anybody else that doesn't live here and isn't on the ground here tell me what I'm seeing with my own eyes.
Well, you're not seeing everything.
Lily, I have the video, and it was literally 1 day ago. So let me just play it real quick.
Rest in Minneapolis, switching out this camera for a live look over that city this morning. Governor Tim Walz now authorizing the Minnesota National Guard to be ready and support both local and state law enforcement. The governor says troops will be involved with protecting property, public safety, also safeguarding critical infrastructure. This happens when, and this is the focus, when these riots sometimes get out of control. Now, protests have been ramping up after these ICE agents, the one fatally shot the woman on Wednesday in Minneapolis. Federal officials say she tried to run over that federal agent with her car before she was.
Anyways, the bottom line is said, like Lily mentioned, to be aware.
On the side of the police department and ICE, if protesters should riot and get out of control, they would be there to protect them and to protect property, not to protect the protesters. That is not, it's like being flipped around here.
So the police are unable to do that, correct?
He didn't say to protect ICE.
Nope. The night before, which was Friday night, the Minneapolis Police Department and the state police showed up, formed a line around the hotel, pushed the protesters back, moved the line at least 3 to 4 times. They were all there.
Why did they push them back from the hotel?
Because they didn't want them to get into the hotel. If somebody should do that. What do you mean and why? You know why.
Why?
Well, I don't understand why you're arguing with me.
You're saying that you were there. Why did they push him back?
Do you
live there? Don't tell you. Why'd they push him back?
I'm just trying to understand why the National Guard is
the National Guard wasn't
allegedly
there.
being deployed. If the police are so police are there trying to barricade to de-escalate a situation.
Correct.
So why were they stopping from them entering the hotel?
Well, would you want a bunch of protesters entering a hotel?
Okay, so
why are you
arguing against yourself?
That's the silliest thing to say. Like, that is private property. Why would you be able to allow it to come into a hotel?
Oh, but it's peaceful protest.
My point, my point is
peaceful protest on private property.
Right. My point is that the guy down here in the
Apparently
corner, the re-engine or whatever, what you were trying to tell these people on this panel and Chef's 500 people that are in this room is that the Minneapolis Police Department and the state police have been pulled, and that is a damn lie.
Well, I want to get back to
it is true. I just told you they were there Friday night putting a line up.
You have the mayor and the governor calling for ICE to be removed.
You are
get
wrong.
the F out.
Sir,
all this stuff.
Get ICE
They're
out.
against ICE.
They are
against ICE.
They absolutely are.
So why would they be trying to help ICE? You're saying that they're trying to help ICE with National Guard. They are not trying to help ICE in any way, shape, or form, ma'am. I don't care where you are.
So the police
You're
were
wrong, sir. You are
You're
loud
wrong.
and wrong. You are loud and wrong. And I just proved you were wrong, and you're still getting up here being loud and wrong.
Lee, what would happen if the protesters entered the hotel?
What do you think would happen?
What would have happened?
Blair, you know
I'm
what? Don't
asking
do
you.
that. You don't need to ask me anything. I'm not here to argue with you. I proved you wrong. I gave you the facts that
You
you
could
said
why
you don't.
calm down,
Bridget,
ma'am.
But
Okay,
well,
Calm
Hold
thanks,
down.
you
on,
got
time
it
out,
heard,
guys,
correct?
guys,
So
relax.
the
this is
police
not
were there to
anymore.
protect
Hey,
them, correct?
it's
You
not
guys,
one.
but Blair, realistically, like, come on now. What do you really think they would go into a hotel for? Like, let's be real.
Well, so what I'm trying to prove is the point that the police are there to protect, right? They have the barricades. They don't want people on the outside to go in and get injured, which very likely would have happened. Kind of similar to this situation where the police should have been on the scene if they were aware of this with this protest to protect. And I'm not,
But you guys, I've been hearing this for 2 days now. This was not a planned protest, is what I'm trying to say.
I don't agree. I
It
disagree.
was the
No, it
school.
was not. They just
I disagree.
they just decide to follow these guys where they go. A planned
Yeah,
protest.
that is
correct.
planned.
They
Oh
were
my god.
The
trained.
school
Like
has them
she
planned and trained for this, and then they took this information down because she was in the wrong, and it makes the school look bad.
yeah,
so
she
did
they
the
literally
police
said
lose
she was part of a
control at this
protest
incident
group.
in front of ICE? So that I think, Lee, that's what you were saying. They lost control, right? And that's why the National Guard, you guys are calling locally for the National Guard.
They named what protest group she was part of, that she got training
Well, I'm
to know
actually
her
speaking
rights and
about this
everything.
hotel incident because
And
Lee brought it
okay,
up, right? So you
you know what? I'm going to tell you a lot of us in this state have been able to attend things to tell us our rights, our constitutional rights against the unlawful things that ICE is doing in this state. Let me tell you, we are
ICE is the
fine.
law.
I'm going to have
ICE is
you.
part of the
They
law.
have no authority to do traffic stops, walk up to people and ask them for their identification. What they are doing in this state is unlawful.
That's
If
untrue.
they want, it is
You're
not untrue.
misinformed.
Are you
You're
insane?
misinformed.
You're insane. You
You're
don't know what you're
misinformed.
talking about. You are wrong. You
They
are
can't
once
ask
again.
somebody for their license? You're telling me that you know for a fact that ICE can't ask somebody for their license?
Let's ask Blair.
Well, on Raz.
listen, in New York,
Blair,
you
tell
can't
'em
do
Raz.
that. That's.
It is
But
against
I
the
don't know the
law.
Minnesota.
It's not.
New York, you
They're
can't
listen,
ask
guys.
someone for
We talked about
identification.
this yesterday. You know what? It's not what they're. There's like a loophole in it. They
It's a
can they
federal.
shouldn't, but they can based on suspicion. But
Raz.
Reasonable suspicion.
Yep.
Yeah, and
right.
she was in the road, like parked perpendicular
Oh
to
my God.
traffic for like 15 minutes, blowing her horn, getting out
15 minutes.
dancing.
The whole video is 4 minutes. And the officer that
Prior
used
to that, prior
nope,
to that
prior to
video,
that,
she
we
was
have
blowing
the
the
whole
horn.
video. Have you seen the whole video from start to finish that was
But was she
released?
not in the street blowing the horn
She can
perpendicular
be
to
in the
traffic?
street and blow the horn. Cars were going around her.
She cannot. Penal code
Why?
16915 is clear
Go
cut.
block some
You
cops
cannot impede
perpendicular in the middle
They're
of
traffic
the
not
street.
that
See what
way.
cops.
happens.
They're not cops.
They
are
are
not
when it
It's a
comes
federal
officers.
investigation. It's similar. They're
Yeah,
work for
when
the
it
Not
government.
similar. You're
They're
wrong.
when
doing a
it comes
job.
to impeding their official duties, which
They
they were
weren't
told to get
doing an
back,
official
It's
duty.
a job.
to get back to the head
That's their
guys,
job.
guys,
not
no,
an
we're getting a
official
little out of
duty.
control here,
That's their
respectfully.
job.
But listen. I again, and I've said this yesterday. I'll say it again. I still stand with they are both sides are wrong. Okay, like in my opinion, it's 2026. Mess around with these guys. Unfortunately, this is the potential of the outcome. And on the other note, do I think it was definitely excessive force? That's my opinion. However, at the end of the day, just like the others were able to go around her, they should have went around her and left that to state police to deal with.
That's exactly my point, Chef.
But Lee, I actually agree with you, but I wasn't trying to attack you. What I was bringing up earlier was the incident at the hotel, which could have been a very similar situation, right? You have protesters and then you have ICE and then you have the police in the middle with barricades trying to protect. That is their job.
But
They
man,
were
now you're talking
protecting-
about private property though. It's a
Right.
whole different thing. You're talking about
what
private
I'm talking
property.
about is you're going to First Amendment rights. They have the First
Correct.
Amendment rights. Right. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is the police were doing their job. And I really didn't
Yep.
mean to offend you, but the police were doing their job. They had the barricades and they were there to protect. If those people entered the hotel, we all know that it could have been a very dangerous situation. I was just trying to highlight that the police should play a very big role in
And they are.
protection
Correct.
during these. But if they're playing the big role, why and I guess this is a question because you're there locally, you have friends. I mean, you guys discussed this. Why would you want, because the National Guard comes in to support the police when things are getting really out of control. If they have control, why would Tim Walz say the National Guard is ready to be deployed?
Because of the riots.
Right, but the police are supposed to, right, there's riots going on, and maybe arguably there could have been personally by saying that, and this is where I'm upset with the president and the governor. Escalation. They put people in, Renee, she watches the news, there's media, they stoke all of this. That is my issue with this.
But Blair, what you don't understand, number one, maybe because you don't live here, and I'm not faulting you, is we just lived through this with George Floyd, okay? When that happened, the governor was hesitant to put military forces on our streets. And when he finally did, things calmed down. So this time, I think the reason he said it is they are on standby. They're ready to go if things get out of control. Number one, it was to tell everyone, keep it peaceful. We don't want to get to that point. I don't think he was stoking it. I take your choice of words a little, and listen, you're entitled to your opinion. You can think what you want. But what people don't understand is this wound is really fresh here for us.
I can imagine. Yeah, you guys are you've definitely been the center of politics for a very long time.
Because we're being attacked. And it's not okay. We have children. The ICE agents are circling the schools. You guys, we see it every day. And the escalation of this by the president a week ago or a week and a half ago to send 2,000 more. And then after she was pew-pewed, doubled down that day and said, I'm going to send 1,000 more.
Protest in a manner that is illegal.
It wasn't illegal.
Yeah, I already read you the penal code 16915.
You can take your penal code
traffic.
and you can peanut whatever you want.
Again,
I'm
you cannot impede traffic in your protest.
Yeah.
Notice how
you
people
also
protest
can't
on the sidewalks. On this app, you can watch live protests.
What app?
And there's this app. People will protest on this app. I won't name the names, but you can find them.
Yeah.
Do it illegally and they're perfectly fine.
Just like we had almost 10,000 yesterday doing it and nothing happened.
Yeah, but guess what? There's reports now that they're using children as shields.
Oh, children as shields because kids were out there exercising their First Amendment rights. Come on. What?
Babies.
They're
using their babies as shields according to the
Oh my God,
report.
I can't. Chef, I got to drop because this is, and I'm sorry, Chef.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Listen, you're fine. And honestly, I'm very sorry as a city and a state that what you guys are going through, but hopefully this is definitely doesn't go on as long as, the George Floyd, because I can only imagine how traumatizing that was. But I hope you guys are doing well. I'm actually a little nervous now because the Bills are actually losing. So I'm going to shut it down myself. And I will be back a little bit later. But thank you guys all for joining. I appreciate each and every one of you guys.
Yes, thank you for hosting.
Yeah, you're fine. And you guys have a fantastic rest of your afternoon. Thank you.